Good afternoon, bowling world. This is $2 Phil Brilo. I'm here with you from Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana. And this is B Squad coverage of the PBA Family Fort of Bluffton, Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. You're going to have some big names on this squad. We'll go over everybody on the squad today, and thanks to those of you pouring in that saw the notifications on PBA social media and other social media. Maybe you saw some of the players like Marshall Kent, EJ Tackett, Sam Cooley, Kyle Troop, and many others that are on this squad. We'll give you the full player rundown after practice is completed. And go over the squad setup, what the tournament format is, how scorers came off of A squad and such. About 5 minutes of practice remaining for these players. And good afternoon. From Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana, this is the PBA Family Fort of Bluffton at Yergy's Barbecue. Easy Bowl Open. Good afternoon, everybody. I am $2 Phil Brilo here with you, bringing you through the weekend. Once again, I want to thank the PBA for letting 10 on the Deck Productions stream this regional on the PBA YouTube channel. Everybody gets to watch for free. You get to follow your favorite player all the way through. We have our main feed you're watching us on now. You can also second tab any of the pair feeds that are available to you, and you'll be able to stay updated. We'll have some special guests in the booth during B Squad qualifying to go along with some great action on the lanes. And once again, I'd like to call this our research regional, as this is one of the first regionals in the country, at least in the standard division, to be bowling on string pins for possible future PBA certification. So let's get out to the lanes for the remainder of practice. And we'll give you full player rundowns. As we get through game one, taking down a couple more pairs here. There you see Ronnie Russell, Kevin McCune, A couple PBA champions there. Take you over to 17-18. Got another PBA major champion in Kyle Troop. Get down to 19 through 22. You have the Tackett brothers. EJ on 19 and 20. Zach on 21 and 22. Going down to where we started on 7 and 8. You'll have Marshall Kent, your defending champion in this event, starting on lanes 7 and 8. So a couple more minutes of practice, and we will be underway with this PBA Family Ford of Bluffton Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. If you have any questions, please drop me in the chat, and we'll probably have Neil Strimmel back in Game 5 this round. He answered some questions about the research being done by the PBA with these string pin setters and the data gathering, that type of thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But if you have other questions about what Neil does with rules and equipment as his director of position, those rules and equipment for the PBA comes into play, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer whatever questions get thrown his way today. So practice starting to finish up. And we'll have the announcements from Central Region Manager Bobby Jekyll, and we'll be underway with competition momentarily.
Spectators and fans, as a reminder, please turn off your cell phones, place them on silent mode. No flash photography, no flash video, or signing of autographs during competition. The bowlers are greatly appreciated. I'll be doing updates after each and every game, so you'll be able to follow along. Teams in contention to make the top 15 advancing to tomorrow's semi-final action. Thanks again for Phil Brilo for being here and broadcasting it over the YouTube channel, PBA. So if you want to check that out, please do so. Players, when your arrows come up and you look for recompense, you begin your 8 games of qualifying. In the 2024 PBA Family Ford of Bluffton, Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting pins. It is so amazingly quiet with these QubicaAMF string pin setters. Even the bowlers yesterday were like, it's just way too quiet. They were like really watching their voice during conversation and such. I'm going to be doing the same here today as my broadcast booth immediately adjacent to our bowlers here on 7 and 8. And so other than the pinfall sounds and occasional ball rolling down the lane, when the ball actually is rolling, it doesn't make a lot of noise. Obviously, when it hits the lane out of the bowler's hand, that's one thing. But yeah, definitely a lot quieter of a bowling center with these string pins. It's pretty neat. It's a little tough to get used to at first. I'm having more problems getting used to that than the actual watching the pins on strings go up in the air and come back down when they reset. So in 7-8, we have Trevor Paroff. He's your bowler A. Your defending champion, Marshall Kent, your bowler B. And Craig Lamond, your bowler C on 7 and 8. On 9 and 10, the man who ground his way through 48 games at Tour Trials to earn an exemption for the 2025 PBA Tour. Bailey Mavericks, your bowler A. Avery Hunt, she's your bowler B from right here in Bluffton, Indiana. And Sam Cooley, your bowler C. As you see, Cooley's going to be battling the old 2-4-8-10. This is one of those conversions, and I actually see Neil Stremmel sitting right behind 9 and 10 right now, keeping an eye on things. He's going to be talking about what he's looking for later on, but this is definitely one of the things he talked about this morning with, you know, a 2-4-8-10 combination. Is it, you know, a false spare, I guess you call it? Is it something where a string might take out the 10 pin? We saw several 2-10 conversions earlier today that were nothing but clean. Didn't see any wraparounds on 2-8-10s, but see what happens here for Cooley. Oh, that's a natural way to make it. Send the 2 into the 10. String or no string, that is a quality spare by one Sam Cooley. Beautifully done by the man from Australia. So A squad finished their competition a couple hours ago. David Northhouse, even with a 163 game in game 4, still put up a 231 average for the day. Finished with 279 to get to plus 249. Chandler Stevens second. 159 game though for Stevens in game 8. Slipped him back to plus 150. Brandon Flora third, plus 215. Andrew Halverson fourth at plus 113. Steve Novak fifth at plus 110. And that's where it starts to get a little sketchy. You look at the star power on this squad, let's be honest. No need to sugarcoat stuff. You've got, let's see, 7 PBA Tour champions on this squad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 Tour champions and a couple of guys that may not have titles on Tour, but have made some splashes on Tour. That plus 110 number, if I'm below that, like Scott McIntyre Jr. off of A squad at plus 78 and Jacob Balzer at plus 70, I'm sweating this one out. That plus 110's even has some room with the caliber of the squad. So, and Halverson in fourth at plus 113. Yeah, I'd probably be sweating a little bit if I was Halverson and Novak, to be honest. Probably going to be about 4 games of watching the YouTube feed till they get comfortable about their possibilities for later today. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat section. We'll try to do the best we can to answer them, and we'll try to do the best we can to have some open and honest discussion about points that are raised in the chat. We had some good back and forth on A squad, that's for sure. Some guy 809, these strings are definitely much different than the, as my friend Jeff Riggles from ReliableFrame.com likes to call them, carnival pins, carnival strings. Yeah, the string length much longer, the tensions are much different, and it's the closest I've ever seen to free fall are on the machines that we're looking at this weekend, and we'll do the same thing next weekend as well. 10 on the Deck Productions. We're glad to be working again with the PBA Tour next weekend, or the PBA Regional Tour actually, at this level. As we will be back on PBA YouTube with another Research Regional. This time from Foxview Lanes in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and the Foxview Open. And the reason why we call this a Research Regional, well, yes, they are doing research into, whether USBC-certified string pins will be a future, and at what level possibly of PBA play, whether at the tour level or at the regional tour level. The same thing is that this is being administered by Bobby Jekyll and the PBA Central Region, but no title of official value is being awarded. You still get a trophy at the end of it. You still get a check for $3,500. You just don't get one of those gorgeous champions banners at the end of the lane if you don't already have one off of this event. And you don't receive any points towards the Regional Players Invitational points list from this event as well. But these players, it doesn't matter if they're bowling on free fall pins, string pins, Fred Flintstone pins, 2 liters of bottles of soda in a grocery store aisle with a frozen turkey. They're here to bowl, they're here to win. And they're going to give every effort they can out there. I've already seen some people questioning about where they can watch their favorite players. So let's get down to 11 to 14. As we've got Jacob Lewis, your A, Zeke Bate, your B, Justin Knowles, your C on 11 and 12. 13 and 14 is Benji Martinez, your A. William Hibbert, your B. AJ Johnson, your C on 13 and 14. If you open up the description of the video that you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the different pair feeds. So right-click on any of those feeds if you want to watch a certain player. Let's say you want to watch EJ Tackett, Zach Tackett. They're on 19 through 22. Right-click on that feed, open it up, but keep this tab open as well because, as I said, we're going to get some special guests in the booth as they come along. And we're definitely talking to Neil Stremmel. Not sure who else we're going to be able to get a hold of here on B Squad. But we'll definitely make it as interesting as we can. And then you can follow your favorite player pair-to-pair on those particular feeds. I'm also going to drop the live scoring link into the chat on YouTube. And you'll be able to see all the A Squad scores already in the books, and you'll be able to see the B Squad scores updating game by game at that link that just dropped in the chat. So it's a 38-foot Wayne Webb pattern these players are taking down this weekend. So depending on the player, some players will definitely see some urethane in play, especially if they're of the higher rev rate and higher ball speed. Other players, there's about a mix of 50-50 early on for resin and urethane. And we saw a lot of players get out of the urethane as they proceeded deeper and deeper into the block, and the carry down considered to be deeper and deeper down the lane. Thanks everybody for joining us. It's a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here in Bluffton. Thanks for taking some time out of your day. I know there's some other regional coverage that failed to materialize, unfortunately due to some equipment shipping issues for our Bowl TV cohorts down in Florida. But they'll be back tomorrow. They'll get you coverage of the final day of that South RPI. Meanwhile, we've got you here start to finish thanks to 10 Out of the Deck Productions. I want to thank my graphics designer, PJB. I want to thank my production assistant, Phil Bob. I'm $2 Phil Brilo. And if you didn't catch that, yeah, we are a one-man production company here at 10 Out of the Deck Productions. Just happy to be able to bring you regional action. And we want to thank Tom Clark, Carissa Del Bene, and everyone at the PBA that was involved to get the streaming of this research regional on the PBA YouTube. Usually we're streaming regional events that 10 Out of the Deck Productions covers on the Home Bowling Center's Facebook page or the respective PBA regional page. Normally this would have been a PBA Central Region and Easy Bowl stream, but thanks to everybody at the PBA that has this. I joke around calling an event that's on Fox Network TV Big Daddy Fox. So we're on Big Daddy YouTube today. We're not on little Facebook. We're on Big Daddy YouTube. So let's get you over. Got a couple of single pairs of coverage today. We got Ronnie Russell. Ronnie's your bowler C. Kevin McCune, your bowler A. Curtis Hunt, your bowler B on 15 and 16. We did have a 300 game during A squad today. The last game of A squad, Ryan Spear. Spear was trying to figure out what was going on with his ball going through the pins early in the squad, and then actually switched to a backup, a left-handed hook for the two-hander for a while. And then went back to the right-handed hook, right-handed side of the lane, and promptly finished his last game with perfection to get to a plus 26 overall. Unfortunately for Spear, let's look at the $100 check for a PBA 300, as all PBA rules but title application and RPI points do apply for this event. That's why you see players in their official PBA defined bowling attire. And it's funny, this morning I had a couple people making comments in the YouTube section saying, oh, messengers disappeared, and so messengers. We saw a bunch of messengers. We saw a few of them on camera. They all missed. They all have the same characteristics to it. They all went across the lane. Like a missile head first, and then just went in front of the respective 10-pin or 7-pin. So it was quite amusing to me. It wasn't so amusing to every bowler it happened to, but we did see messengers. Somebody goes, messengers are dead. I'm like, well, maybe messengers are on a milk carton once in a while here on the string pins, but they're not dead and gone. So. Abby, I'm not sure. I'm not up in my German. I apologize. Let me get my phone out and see if I can get a little Google Translate here. Don't know how well it's going to work. Abby says, what a picture, a bear and a squirrel. I'm not sure what a bear and a squirrel is all about, but yeah, we pride ourselves on using the highest quality broadcast equipment possible in a bowling center here at 10 of the Deck Productions, and we can't do it without the great lighting. I was talking to EJ Tackett. They've done a lot of remodeling here on Easy Bowl, not just the pin setters over the last few months. All of their light fixtures in the center now are LED, so not only energy efficient, but much brighter than they used to be. And then you get some quality looking masking units like you see at the end of the lanes down there that pop a bit with some colors. A nice coat of paint throughout the center, and yeah, it looks really bright and really inviting when you walk in the door. You want to feel like, hey, this is a place I want to have some fun in. I want to throw a few balls down the lane. They definitely have that feel here at Easy Bowl. 17-18, you see Kyle Troop coming down. He's your bowler A. Mike and Habiger, your bowler B. Habiger from right here in Bluffton. And you see Habiger off to solid start. 4-bagger, 3 spares, and a strike. So Habegger definitely not intimidated by having a PBA major champion on his pair. Rounding out the threesome here on 17-18 is Stefan Hanen. And Hanen is our host next week, the Hanen family, at Foxview Lanes for that next regional. We'll be bringing you on the PBA YouTube channel with the Foxview Open and the Wrap 10. No string taken down to 10 there for True. Yeah, we'll talk about the average differential. We can talk about that a little bit, see what information we get from Neil Stremmel a little later here in B squad. As Hanen comes high in the 3-6-10. I don't think Habegger got the memo about having the coordinating slacks to go with the bowling jersey on this pair. I mean, obviously, Cal Troop paying a little homage to his father, Guppy. Guppy's here somewhere. I know Guppy's here somewhere. Haven't heard him yet, which is surprising, as quiet as it is in the bowling center. Usually you hear Guppy coming from 6 lanes away earlier before the squad start, but I never heard anything. We'll take a quick peek in on our final pairings here as they're approaching, being close to done. Corey Hershey, your bowler A. Ethan Hunt, your bowler B, and EJ Tackett, your bowler C on 19 and 20. Zach Tackett, Brian Robinson on 21 and 22. They're simply going to move a pair to the right, so we'll make sure we get coverage on all these players coming up next game. We saw this a little bit during A squad. Scoring pace started off a little slow. We only had 7 players in game 1 shoot 200 or better. So this Wayne Webb pattern early on, especially with only 8 minutes for these players to break it down or try to break it down, it doesn't leave a lot of time to do so. And make that always So we're approaching the end of our opening game of B squad qualifying. And this Web pattern giving the players the business early. As the PBA family Fort of Bluffton, Yergy's BBQ, Easy Bowl Central Open rolls on. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors that have been with us on 10 on the Deck Productions for the entire 2024 season. The PBA LBC National Championships, the 2025 edition, has open entries for those bowlers that participated in previous LBC National Championships. and Bolero LBC bowlers. All bowlers will have their opportunity to enter beginning on December 1st. Once again, back at Bolero Mount Prospect in the greater Chicagoland area. Great staff at Bolero Mount Prospect took care of that LBC National Championships very well in 2024, and I expect that to repeat in 2025. Get all your tournament information for the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships at pba.com/LBC tournament. H5G Brands, if you watched out of Bayside Bowl in Portland, you watch Gianna Brandolino take out Chris Prather in the final round of that PBA LBC National Championships clash. Take home $60,000, and with Brandolino being a H5G staffer, they are celebrating letting you use the code Brandolino20 for 20% off most everything on the site. Some exceptions apply. H5gbrands.com, your website address for that. And glad to have back for this event, BowlerX.com. This month, with October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're supporting the Striking Out Breast Cancer Foundation. You have the opportunity to donate to that foundation with any purchase made at BowlerX.com in October. And after every $500 of donations, BowlerX.com will randomly draw one of those purchases to also receive a bowling ball, bowling bag, or a pair of bowling shoes of their choice up to a $250 value. Courtesy of BowlerX.com. Check out the latest and greatest offerings and do your part to help support Striking Out Breast Cancer Foundation at BowlerX.com. Game 2 coming up next here from Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana. All right, game one in the books. We'll get your score update shortly. Yeah, unfortunately, I see the question for Jason Butler watching on your phone. Yeah, you have to switch to each feed. There's no way around it. But you can look in the description of the video. Every video, every stream that we have has a description, and in that description, it has the links to all the other pairs or the main feed here. So it makes bouncing around a little bit easier. But lots of bowling to watch this weekend. After we're done tonight, we'll cut to our top 15 players. And those players will return tomorrow for 8 additional games of bowling. No match play pins, no head-to-head, just simply 8 more games of bowling. And after we have our 16 game totals in the books, we'll cut to the top 4 for our step ladder. Step ladder scheduled to begin at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Advancers round will be starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, so I see nothing that prevents both of those squads from starting on time. Once again, we got the scoring link in the comments. It's that R2 Sports link. You may have to scroll up the comments a little bit to find it, but we have it there for you. Yeah, the sound is a bit different. It's just overall quieter in the entire bowling center. It's quite funny because usually you hear people having conversations in like normal tones behind the bowlers, because with all the noise of the pin setters and such, it really doesn't throw anybody off during qualifying. with the reduced noise created by these QubicaAMF string machines, it definitely has a quiet factor. I wonder if we've measured the decibels on a strike from back behind the lanes. I mean, I remember one time we measured it at the National Bowling Stadium, and like Jesper Svensson was hitting like 80 decibels with his powerful strike ball, but even an E.J. Tackett and such, I would wonder what type of decibel reading we would get on that. So, yeah, and I wouldn't worry too much about any of your favorite players having slow starts. As I mentioned earlier, we had 7 players throw 200 or more in game 1 this morning. So it was a slow start for a lot of players. A couple players that didn't start slow, David Northouse and Chandler Stevens topping the A squad standings. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm $2 Phil Bradlow. Appreciate all the kind words everyone's been leaving about the regional streaming we've done already this year. When we do it on the PBA Central or Midwest regional pages. It's a good comment Davey made before. EJ's rev rate is not going to save him from a gutter ball. Yeah, on that one particular case, that's exactly it. I mean, it is only 38 feet on the pattern, but if you get it out too right too soon, the amount of oil across this Wayne Webb pattern, it's going to stay right. If you're projecting it from left to right. All right, here's your game 1 scores. And how about that? The local kid, Mike and Habiger, leader after game 1 here on B Squad. The 245, Benji Martinez 228, AJ Johnson 224, Kevin McCune at 223. Your defending champion Marshall Kent 220, Sam Cooley 217, Justin Knowles 215, Kyle Troop 213, and Ronnie Russell 205. Your only bowlers over 200 in game 1. So just 9 players out of the 23 in the field shooting 200 or better the first game. Some other notables outside of that. Bailey Maverick 195, B-Rob, Brian Robinson 185, Zeke Bate a 184 game that was clean with 6-7 spares. So kids make your spares. Zeke Bate a prime example of that, but he did switch balls and strike on his fill ball for the 184. EJ Tackett 183, Zach Tackett 157 for your notables, and their game 1s. Yeah, let's get down to Zach Tackett. That's a good point. Actually, I should have stuck with True. Forget it. We're here by Zach already. He's already throwing. And Tackett. A double, but offset by an open frame here. Through 6 in game 2. Just Tackett and Robinson on 7 and 8. Tackett your A, Robinson your C. Over on 9 and 10, Trevor Parav is your A, your defending champion Marshall Kent your B. And Craig Lamond, your bowler C. Hey, Mark Blaha, thanks for dropping in on the feed. We'll see you next week. I know Mark's signed up as one of the players for the regional in Waukesha, Wisconsin, Fox U Lanes. Once again, we'll be bringing that to you on PBA YouTube as well from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was.
And once again, that event will take place on these QubicaAMF string pin setters. And a little later on the squad, we'll talk to Neil Stremmel about the process being used to overview these string pin setters this weekend and next, and how all that information is going to be used to make any potential decisions about the use of string pins in future PBA competition, whether it's at the tour level nationally or at the regional level. So, hey, Linda, yeah, all is well. Hope Ryan's doing okay. Miss seeing him here this weekend. Talk about the guy that had the hottest streak in bowling in August. My goodness. Took down 4 out of 5 tournaments. That was a heck of a run here in the Central region. I'm sure Ryan's already punched his ticket to the RPI in Reno coming up. Change of venue for the 4th edition of the newly revived RPI. And that'll be at the National Bowling Stadium. Ricky, they look like they don't like it there. Ricky, they never look like they like anything while they're in the middle of game 2 of an 8-game qualifying block. There's not a lot of smiles out on the lanes. Great cover there by B-Rob. No concerns about any strings. With that being knocked down. Now Tackett finds himself in a little trouble with the 210. And the 3-9 failed to convert by Parav. I'm sure Neil will get into detail a little bit more when we have him in the booth, but these are the kind of hits that, you know, they're looking for. Taking pins down. Zach Tackett, 210 conversion.
Oh, did you replay it?
You know, it's kind of neat. I apologize for the little delay in the commentary there, but we went back and looked. I said I saw that B-Rob 2-4-10. I'm like, hey, that's a conversion, and way to get it with the pin. And then he kind of went like, I'm not sure if that was the pin or the string. So we actually went back on the YouTube feed, and it looks like, it was a conversion. It looks like the pin was actually almost all the way around it, but as the pin rotated, and it had some rotation obviously as it was going over when it kicked off the sideboard, the head of the 2-pin hit the back of the 10 and took it down. So it's again, the nice part about this with having all this video that Neil Strimel is able to review when players bring up this situation is that it's an open dialogue between the players and Neil. It's like if they see something that you even remotely think might be something that's pinfall caused by a string, they're more than welcome to bring it to Neil's attention and it can get reviewed. We just happen to review it right now because it happened so close to us. We got a little inference from Brian on what he thought as well, and now he's kind of thinking, okay, maybe I actually made that like Phil said. He thought it was a string, and after looking at it, looks like the pin starts to move, the 10-pin starts to move before the head of the 2-pin gets past it from behind. So it's not at a point in time where the string can actually make the contact with the 10-pin. It would have to be farther away from the 10 before to kind of pull it down, drag it down. So, but that's the great part about why I'm kind of calling this a research regional. We're able to take all the information we're getting here. Neil's going to take all that information we're getting with the video, he's getting from the players, and what he's going to get from Lane Talk stats, from this event, and from all the PBA Tour events, and he's going to be able to compare things. And he'll really get into detail with it later on. So if you're kind of a bowling nerd like I am, it's going to be fun. So yeah, if you're looking for any particular pair of lanes to watch somebody, we kind of follow leaders or follow important things that are going on here in the main feed. We'll get you down to EJ Tackett right now as Tackett's looking to put the finishing touches on a 240 game. And I think an announcement may have got him. He may have usually they don't make announcements during tournament competition. He's looking back at his desk. They were trying to get a ball return call made. So, yeah, I mean, you have every pair and play available to you. So we're going to, do some bouncing around the main feed, but You can right-click on any of those pair feeds in the description underneath the main feed video you're watching, and watch your favorite player every game of qualifying. So they're going to hit every pair once, and you kind of bounce around and get that done. Can I replay B-Rob's 2-8-10? I probably can. If I can get the logistics working here. We'll have to do that. We'll do that in Game 3. We'll go back and do that once we're into Game 3 a little bit. We'll finish off Game 2 here, and we'll take a little look at the B-Rob 2-8-10. So our second game wrapping up. Third game coming up for the PBA Family Fort of Bluffton Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. Thanks to our season-long sponsors, the PBA LBC National Championships 2025 edition. Accepting entries for those bowlers that bowled it in previous seasons, or if you're a Bolero LBC bowler, get all your tournament information at pba.com/LBC tournament. H5G Brands, and our supplemental sponsor for this event, doing some great work for striking out breast cancer, BowlerX.com. We'll talk more about that in Game 3 as well.
How do I get wide out?
All right, let's take you down to seven through 10. Troop, Hayberger, Hainan on 7 and 8. Hersha, Hunt, Tackett, your ABC respectively, on 9 and 10. So as you mentioned, Hayberger off to a good start. Wasn't intimidated by the firepower on this roster. He had 245 in game one. We'll see where he sits after the second game here. Jeff Lowe, yes, the milkshakes are spectacular. I got here Thursday night, and I literally, during open bowling, saw 8 of them go out to open play before the leagues on one side of the center before the league started at 8 o'clock on the high side. So, yes, the milkshakes are still just as good. I have not had one yet, but I will be having one tomorrow. So they're bowling a 38-foot Wayne Webb pattern. And we had a request. Go back and take a look at the Brian Robinson 2-4-10 that I knew it was made, but some people were calling into doubt about it being made. So went back in the YouTube archive here, so you're going to see some YouTube info after Troop shoots here. There's Troop going on.
Ricky,
so here's
they look like they don't like it
shot
there.
for
Ricky,
Robinson.
they never look like they like anything while they're in
you
the
see
middle
the head
of game
of the
2
pin
of an
take it down. You see the celebration there. Let's take another look, and
that'll
I'll
be
try
at
to
the
slow
National
it down
Bowling
here.
Ricky, they look like they don't like it there. Ricky, they
no, this is YouTube, unfortunately, so I'm at the mercy of the K button to pause. But you see it start to slide around. You see it kicks off the sideboard, and there you see the head of the pin. It's still touching the 10, so it's not the string. So, and that's video that, you know, Neil Stremmel's going to go back and look at and verify things as they're noticed as odd by players, and they talk to Neil about it, and then we've got video proof. We can go back and look, and hey, don't worry about the strings there. That was nothing but pure pin contact by Kyle Troop to pick that up. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch. I mean, I do enough work as a contractor with the PBA with video and regionals they let me do on my own and that type of thing and stuff. One thing that always is done by the PBA is their research is done before anything is acted upon. And, you know, it's kind of a neat compromise. I mean, for EJ Tackett and the Tackett family, this event was the regional player invitational qualifier for many years, and then they made the business decision to put in the QubicaAMF string pin setters, and this is a PBA not approved their use yet. They lost the RPI to another bowling center in the central region, but, you know, with working with the PBA, they've come up with these, you know, test regionals, research regionals, whatever we want to call them, and sure, there might not be the official title when this event concludes, but there's still an official check and an official trophy, and a pretty good official check at $3,500 for first, and even the last cashing spot in this event is $600. So the Tackett family's done a lot with local sponsors to get money chunked into the prize fund once again, and a lot of the community out already earlier today on A squad. Good crowd here on B. And I'm sure for our stepladder finals tomorrow, there will be a pretty crowded house. Especially if one or both members of the Tackett family make their way into that stepladder final. So Habegger still your leader on A squad, or on B squad, pardon me, at plus 61. Games of 245 and 216. Benji Martinez, a pair of 228s to be at plus 56. PBA Tour champion Sam Cooley, third on the squad, plus 40. Kevin McCune, plus 39. Zeke Bate, 10K Zeke after taking down that big money in Coldwater at that regional back in August. Bate at plus 38. Recovered from the 184 clean game with a 254. Marshall Kent, your defending champion, at plus 36. Justin Knowles, plus 31. EJ Tackett also at that number after Tackett's 248 in game 2. Kyle Troop, 213, 215 to be at plus 28. And other notables, William Hibbard at plus 10. Bailey Maverick, plus 5. AJ Johnson, plus 2. Ronnie Russell, minus 5. B-Rob, minus 12. Zach Tackett, minus 51. Not a good day for Tackett at this point. 157, 192. And once again, your full standings available. We got that link up in the chat. Let me see if I can throw that link out there again. There we go. Just dropped it in there right now that R2 Sports Link is your game-by-game scoring. So you can get the updates as quickly as we do here in the broadcast booth. Thanks once again to Bobby Jekyll and Nina Asbury, his assistant once again this weekend, for the quality and timely scorekeeping and standings here for this PBA Family Ford of Bluffton at Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. Let's take a peek on the high end. Let's go back up to 19 through 22 as we mentioned. Benji Martinez, second on the squad with a pair of 228 games. You see Martinez 2-4-10, does not convert, and Martinez finding some problems early on here. 3 opens in his first 4 frames, falling back rapidly. Going the other direction though, Kevin McCune. McCune at plus 39, and McCune looking to get 5 in a row on the board. 2 comes off the sideboard. Takes care of business on the 4. And so a nice run going. A.J. Johnson scrambles the rack. Johnson plus 2 after games of 224 and 178 to this point. We mentioned Hibbert at plus 10. You see Ronnie Russell getting ready to step up. Russell -5 for his first 2. I just hope for Ronnie avoiding what happened to him here in 2021 during the RPI. He took a bowling ball right off the left ankle during Sunday's advancers round and had to withdraw. It was a nasty, nasty hit. We'll head back to McCune when he steps up on the approach. Let's keep an eye on the man who's leading the squad. Megan Habegger. Habegger bowls here at Easy Bowl. Several players at Boulder League competition here in the field this round, including 3 members of the Hunt family: Ethan Hunt, Avery Hunt, and Curtis Hunt. Big ups to Avery Hunt, high school player, and she decided she wanted to see how she'd do against the best in the world, some of the best in the world. I mean, the owner here right now, if you say he's not the best in the world, he's definitely in the top 2 or 3. As Hayden can opens the rack. If you like what you see there for Hayden's jersey and slack combination, well, now's the time to order it from H5G, as they have a great sale going on now in celebration of Gianna Brandolino taking down the PBA LBC Clash title in Portland, Maine. Use that code Brandolino for 20% off most everything on the website. There are some exclusions that do apply. H5gbrands.com, where you can get all that information. They're also the official merchandiser for the PBA, so you can get some quality PBA souvenirs while you're there as well. And the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships registration already underway for those who bowled last year and for those current Bolero LBC members. Entries open to the general public on December 1st. Get yourself prepared to enter. Get all your tournament information for that 2025 edition back at Bolero Mountain Prospect in the greater Chicagoland area PBA.com/LEC tournament. And BowlerX.com. Glad to have them back for this event. They've sponsored our 10 on the Deck regional live streaming for quite a long time. And they are supporting the Striking Out Breast Cancer Foundation by giving you a chance to win a ball, bag, or shoes valued up to $250 if you make a donation with your BowlerX purchase. Get all the information on the front page at BowlerX.com. After tacking and troop throw, we'll make a run over to check in on tacking of the Zach variety and B-Rob, Brian Robinson, as they both caught fire a bit. Here in game 3. And Troop gets him the splash. And that's a turkey for Troop. And Tackett takes the tank and takes it down. Oh, Robinson bounced back. Open, open, open. The Bo Burton buzzard. And that has him followed up. I'm sorry, it's Zach Tackett with the 4-bagger after 3 straight opens. So Zach turning his game around. B-Rob front 5 before going spare, and now looking for that spare in the 7th. Back to Habegger. Throwing it well, looking for 4 in a row. That high backswing, staying on the outside of the pattern on this 38-foot web. You see the head shake on the way back, but he trips out at the 4-7. Back over to Robinson for his spare. A couple of questions here. Let's go with Linda's first. First $2 bill. A lot of people ask me where the nickname $2 bill comes from. It doesn't come from when I got my first $2 bill. I got that from my grandfather when I was 9 years old. 1976, they started printing the $2 bills again. And got one as a gift from my grandfather. Promptly used it on candy at a local candy store because they were making $2 bills all over the place. But when I really got the nickname $2 Phil from is for many years, about 20 years ago, I was helping a friend of mine out who owned a small bowling center near Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, for those of you familiar with geography. It's about 45 minutes southwest of Milwaukee, about 45 minutes to an hour northwest of Chicago's northwest suburbs. So a lot of people from Chicago come up there, and this bowling center was in Delavan, Wisconsin. It was called Wheeler's Lanes. And back in 1976, Ron Wheeler, who was probably one of the best amateur bowlers ever in Wisconsin, and several times when they had the PBA Miller High Life at that time, Bolero Lanes in Wauwatosa, the original Bolero, as I like to call it. Ron made match play a couple of years there. Got into the event through some qualifiers, and the old Rabbit squads. Non-members were allowed to get in that way. And a couple of years he made match play there, and a very successful bowler, won medals in international competition as such. Owned an 8-lane center that his son Trevor later took on when Ron retired, and sometimes it was tough for Trevor to get bartenders, and I go down there and help him out. And it started with his dad. They gave change out starting in '76 in $2 bills, and back then they had the Eisenhower dollars, and they shortly got rid of those, and that's when they had the Sacagaweas came out 5 or 6 years later. So that's how they gave out change. It was $2 bills and dollar coins. And it was great if you're bartending because a lot of people from Chicago don't want to take that stuff back with them. So they leave them as tips, and I'd always take them back to Milwaukee with me. And I kind of knew in the service industry, people always get surprised by a $2 bill, and they know where they are. So I kept bringing them home with me every time I get done bartending. I helped my buddy Trevor out, and he'd get me a few extra, and then I started getting them from the bank. And you know, you go out, you tip it, and people, you know, they kind of remember you with that. And the nickname was given to me by Jeff Goodger of the PBA right after I came on board with Extra Frame. Hey, we got a messenger. We had a messenger by EJ Tackett. That he may actually say first one. EJ got one. We'll get a replay for you shortly. We'll drag up the old YouTube machine here. Use that as a replay system. And yeah, so that's how $2 Phil came about. It's better than the first nickname I was given by the Extra Frame crew, which was Phil Frames is okay, but they gave that to me in Portland at Bayside Bowl, and Bayside already had a Phil Frames. So couldn't use that. Didn't want to be, you know, a repeat on somebody's name. And so the next one they came up with was Phil Balls. Well, that's you know, that's a sketchy one. So it likes to be misused a lot by people, obviously. The only people that still call me Phil Balls are the Brits with Don Barrett and Stu Williams, and we have a good time with that. It just sounds regal when they say it, Phil Balls, you know. So, and then yeah, Goodger gave me the $2 Phil nickname, and it's been history since then. So I have $2 Phil jerseys that H5G has paid me for wearing when I'm doing live streaming or. And so yeah, I love the $2 Phil nickname. I've had fun with it quite a while.
30-minute break, they said after. Perfect.
All right, we went back. We're getting the replay for you. Let's go to the last frame by EJ Tackett. Take the messenger off the milk carton. There you go, spinning back to the deck, and EJ makes it happen. And he celebrated with Cal Troop with a little laugh once that was done. So we'll get back to Zach Tackett's 10th frame momentarily here. As Tackett, boy, you talk about saving a game, maybe saving your tournament right here for Zach Tackett. I mean, 24 in the fourth, or 24 in the third, pardon me. I mean, that's just a big ouch right there. And now he can get out of here with 234. That's just absolutely amazing. Robinson gets out with 263. There you go. Make it a sexy 7-bagger for Zach Tackett. Here's Habegger. Just looking to finish out, and he's going to stay your leader on this squad. Nothing phasing the young man right now. Tackett did carry that strike, as you see on the left side of your screen. Just looking to get back to Marshall Kent as Kent goes high. McDonald, we'll talk about the player of the year race in Game 4. It'll give us something to start with, and then we'll get Neil Stremmel in there shortly thereafter. I know Neil's he's watching intently as he goes through talking to some of the players between shots that come up to him. So still, what a comeback that game by Zach Tackett to save it. Player movement, and game 4 of this PBA Family Ford of Bluffton at Yergy's BBQ Easy Bowl Central Open rolls. Players will be skipping 2 pairs landing in the thirds. The players you just saw there on 11 and 12. With Tackett and Robinson, they're going to 17 and 18. Hersha, Hunt, Tackett, 15 and 16. And players like Benji Martinez, A.J. Johnson, William Hibbard, they're going to make the big turn down from 19 and 20 down to 9 and 10.
What's that?
Yeah.
That fill shot, that's the one you want.
You know, it's really fun. Is sometimes you see things happen that bowlers normally don't feel an achievement or proud of, but in this case they feel like they've had an achievement or they're proud of it. And you may have seen it on the main feed while I wasn't commentating as Marshall Kent was finishing out. His game a few minutes ago. Let's go to Kent on his fill ball. You see there on lane 14 on the right side of your screen. Trying something out. How about that? The 2-pin into the 4, into the 10. Came up to the booth and pointed that out and said, hey, that was pretty darn cool. I mean, we've seen Cal Troop shoot at too many of these 3-4 combinations today. When he is missing through the nose, he's paying maximum penalty. We'll get to the 3-game scoring update shortly. One thing that's probably staying true is that Mike and Habiger, should be our squad leader still after 3. The young player bowling as a guest here at Easy Bowl. 2:45, 2:16 to start. 2:54 in game 3. So the young man not intimidated. But I guess if you bowl in the center, it's owned by the Tackett family. You see EJ and Zach all the time. The intimidation factor might be going away a little bit. We mentioned Marshall Kent. He just made the big move up the center. Let's go at Marsh for a little bit here. He's crossing with Trevor Parav, your bowler A, and there you see Craig Lamont. He's your bowler C on the scoreboards. Right next door, Bailey Maverick, your bowler A, Avery Hunt, your bowler B, and Sam Cooley, your bowler C. Here on 19 through 22. And joining me in the booth, and we're glad to have him here all weekend long, Neil Stremmel.
Buenos dias.
The Director of Rules and Equipment for the PBA. not a lot of rules have changed for this event, but the equipment sure has, and that's why you're here kind of supervising the pinfall process, I guess one could say, for this tournament.
Yeah, that's a way to put it. Yeah, dealing with equipment is almost always bowling balls for me. But, yeah, getting to do some pin setters is different work, different things to look at, different thought process. So, I don't know, for me it's been kind of fun, kind of eye-opening, and just have to think differently and look at things differently, which I enjoy doing. So yeah, we got this one going, and then we did one for the PBA 50 in Lehigh Acres at Lehigh Lanes a couple months ago, and then next weekend we'll do another one at Foxview in Waukesha. So that'll be good.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing you that Foxview Open here on PBA YouTube as well. Once again, I want to thanks to Tom Clark, Carissa Bene, and everybody at the PBA that's let 10 on the Deck Productions jump on the PBA Bowling YouTube streams and give you some high-quality bowling on something that a lot of people really haven't seen in detail as of yet. I mean, on social media, you see a lot of single shots or double shots, that kind of thing. You don't have, nobody's out there streaming 8 games of a tournament on string pins. It's been very rare. And the ones that have been streamed in the past were done on the non-sanctioned string, or some people call them carnival strings, or recreational strings. So being able to stream this event and the one next week, I'm kind of taking a little extra pride in as well, just because I'm turning into a fan. I'm watching these, and you know, you see, it seems like the players maybe have to work a little bit differently to get the ball through the pins or do things. And it's neat watch because they're all talking to each other. You're seeing them share information during the qualifying part of the tournament, like going, well, I did this and I thought this would happen to the pins, but this happened instead, and that type of thing. So that's been kind of a neat part, being able to overhear those conversations.
Yeah, I think it's key to note, like you said at the beginning of that, is that most of the people out there, if they've seen string machines, it's the old machines. So right. USBC approved string pin setters at the beginning of last season, I believe it was. And so there's, on these, this is QubicaAMF edge machines, and they have USB-C approved mode, and they have a recreational mode. And so if you are in a league or tournament that is certified by USBC, you can put it in USB-C mode, or you have to put it in USB-C mode. And the string lengths are longer for USB-C mode, and that drastically affects pinfall. And so if you've seen previous pin setters, they were shorter strings, and they didn't have this setting. And so it's just not the same game. So this allows for more free pinfall, like a free fall machine, because the strings are longer and they don't get wrapped up or mixed up quite as much. So it is noticeably different. Scoring is noticeably different than the other ones, and USBC spent the time, effort, and money to investigate that and figure out what the best string length was for them from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty good. I mean, you have 7 players here in this field of 22 on B Squad that have won titles on the PBA Tour, and they're not shying away from trying something that is different to them, like it is for all the other players in the building. And they're coming in looking at it analytically, like, what do I need to do to get my ball through these pins? It's no different than them than any other event they walk into. It's just a matter of figuring out the equation on what it takes to get all 10 down.
Yeah, it's a different thought process, a different mentality, but it's, part of what we're doing is looking at it and determining, is it, it's a different thought process and mentality, but is it a different pinfall? Is it a different game? Is it something different and unique? From, USBC has approved it, but from a PBA perspective, what's important to us is at the elite level, at the top, less than 1% of the bowlers, how does it affect us? Is it too easy? Is it unfair? Is it too much luck, et cetera, et cetera? We want fairness. We want skill to be at the top of the requirement to win on these pin setters. And so, this is why we're spending our time, effort, and money to test and review and study and basically determine one way or the other if we're going to accept these or not in PBA competition.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when the urethane thing changed, for the rules changed for the PBA, where now it's a minimum of 78 D on the durometer for the hardness required on urethanes, and on the national tour, it's all bowling balls must be manufactured after August 1st, 2022. Correct. So at the regional level, the urethane rule is still the same for these players, but the resin rule isn't, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's the main reason for that difference is August 1st, 2022 is when USBC required all bowling balls that are manufactured to be at 73 hardness, 73D, or harder. And so all bowling balls are required to be 73D, and separately urethane balls for the PBA need to be 78 hardness. But the August 1st date really just comes from that's when all balls that you find out there are 73 durometer, and so even if they're reactive or whatnot, they start a little bit harder. You know, the old rule was 72, so from a regional standpoint, you know, that's not that much of a difference, but when you get to the top level of the national tour, we want them to start at 73 with everything, and so that's really the key reason for that change. On the regional tour, you know, they don't necessarily have free equipment or free reign to just, you know, get more and more equipment as new stuff comes out, and we don't want to require them to have to go through all that and get rid of their old arsenals, et cetera. So anyways.
Yeah. I get it. And these guys are kind of the lifeblood of the PBA, that's for sure. I mean, there's over 4,000 members, and there's maybe, 250 of them that actually bowl a national tour stop in a year at some level.
Yeah, so. And obviously, yeah, the main core is, you know, more like 40 or 50 or 55 coming up next year. So anyways.
Yeah. So there we go, Kyle Troop with the flat 10. And the one thing you see about a flat 10 on these pin stairs, it seems like, is the bowlers call it a deserved flat 10. They didn't have the proper rotation, or the ball didn't face up in the proper part of the lane, and then gets behind the head pin a little bit, 3-pin goes a little bit straight back, and the 6 just goes in the flat cutter and just kind of falls asleep, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and that's some of the feedback we're getting thus far is, you know, needs to be high flush, you know, flush or high flush in the pocket to, you know, be able to strike. And yeah, the messengers are few and far between, and it just requires a higher level of skill. And I heard that in the PBA 50 event we did earlier. We'll do another test next week. And you know, the feedback from the players is part of the process, but I can explain like truly what the data part of the process is.
Yeah, this is kind of like the next big generation, not necessarily, you can call it an improvement to the game, because there are things that it makes better, especially for the bowling center owners. It's kind of like, you know, well, geez, almost 40 years ago that it's actually, yeah, more than 40 years that synthetic lanes first started coming out. I remember when I first grew up bowling, I thought we were the oddballs at Red Carpet South in the Milwaukee area, because they were synthetic lanes in that bowling center when they built that center next to the hotel for special events. And nowadays you can't find wood lane centers anymore.
Yeah, it's done a complete reversal. So yeah, imagine had synthetic lanes not been approved, and where would we be today? How many bowling centers would actually be out there if synthetic lanes were not allowed? And you know, if you were building a center today, most of the centers that are built today are big. They're good size.
Right.
And if they had be all made out of wood, you know, maple and pine, I'm just not sure people are going to go through that process, and who's going to do it, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's something that, looking back, you know, 30 or 40 years ago when it was first allowed, it wasn't accepted very well. I remember people saying, "Oh, I'm never going to bowl on those plastic lanes,"
right?
And you know, stuff like that. And nowadays, if it wasn't for synthetic, I can't imagine the amount of bowling centers that we'd actually still have out there today.
Yeah, and especially with, I mean, even now there's some centers that are built that aren't for, their goal isn't any type of league or tournament competition. It's recreation, have fun, and yeah, those leagues had to, or those places had to put up with lanes. Can you imagine what they'd look like if you had walked in after 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
The heads would be all burned away, and
They'd be black.
Yeah, they wouldn't oil as often, but recreational bowling, it wouldn't have mattered, for those people. Sometimes we you mentioned the 1% or that type of thing, the upper 1% in bowling, that kind of thing. We can't forget that 90-some% of the people aren't really looking for
This,
yeah, the professional experience. They just want to go out, check a ball down the middle of the lane, have a couple of beers, some snacks, and have fun with their friends. And they don't know if a strike is lucky or not. They chuck it down the middle. Wow, you got really lucky on that one. Oh, okay.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I hope I get lucky again.
Yeah. So if you have questions for Neil, this is a great time to ask him. We already got the urethane out of the way. We got the lanes out of the way. We got the pin setters out of the way.
Yeah, as far as the data goes, it's really not about scoring. USBC already spent a lot of time, looking at scoring, evaluating scoring, determining that scoring, as far as they're concerned, is acceptable.
Right.
So from our standpoint, all right, they're scoring. They score. So what's important to us is, does it look like bowling? Is it fair? Does it allow for different styles to still play the way they're playing now on free fall? So what we're really looking at in this tournament, I use Lane Talk. Lane Talk has been a great partner of ours. We're going to get Lane Talk from this event, from next week at Foxview. I already have all the data from Lehigh Acres event earlier this year, and I'm comparing that data, like what spares are left, and then what the spare conversion rate is of those spares, and see if there's any anomalies compared to the PBA Tour on free fall machines all earlier this year. So I have a ton of data, all from Lane Talk, from the PBA Tour, so the top level, the elite level, and I can take that data and compare to how often a washout is left, here and next week and in Florida, and be able to compare that to the national tour from earlier this year. And if a washout is left way more often or less often, it'll stand out like, it was left 10% of the time.
Okay.
And, well, not 10%, but let's say it was picked up 10% of the time, and now all of a sudden it's being picked up 20% of the time. That'll stand out, and I'll be able to say, hey, what's going on here? And we can sit and we can look at it and talk about it and determine whether it's the pin setter that has something to do, the biggest part to do with it, and basically figure it out from there. The same thing with like the 10 pin. If the 10 pin is left twice as often as it was for free fall machines, then it's going to be something that we're going to take a look at, talk about, figure out, determine if that matters to us at the PBA level, and just basically move forward from there. So that is the plan. That is how we're going to evaluate that. And the fact that we have all this data allows us to do these more statistical comparisons. So like I said, if a 7 or a 10 pin is left at a rate of 5% of the time, I don't know what the percent is, but let's say that's what it is, and all of a sudden on string pin machines it's left 10% of the time or 1% of the time, we can be like, what's the reason for that difference? And does that matter to us? Is that going to affect fairness? Is that going to affect the excitement level, etc.? So that's really how we're going to look at it. We're going to look at what is left, and then we're going to look at how often those are picked up. So the spare percentage rates, if that changes higher or lower by anything drastic. I mentioned the washout. So, we've all wrapped the 1 around the 10 as a right-hander, and, missed the spare because, we wrapped it. Well, people think that, okay, that string is going to have a big effect on that, and it's always going to trip out the 10. And I've seen that it doesn't. So we're going to look at the spare percentage, and if that spare percentage is basically the same as before, then it's going to be something that we're not concerned about. If that spare percentage changes drastically, then we're going to not necessarily say yay or nay based on that, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to, the PBA executive group will sit down and we'll have a discussion and determine does this matter to us, and if so, how much. And if it does, and it's something we think isn't fair or we think is involving too much luck, then we'll yank it out and we won't allow it, or we'll ask for changes from QubicaAMF and the other string pin manufacturers. But that's really the evaluation process.
Well, Zach Tackett definitely did some evaluating after he opened the first 3 frames of last game and saved 220 out of it. This game, looking to put up 269 if he can get the last 2 in the 10th frame, and scrambles them up nicely. Meanwhile, Brian Robinson going the other direction, as Robinson's going to max out at 142. He just went back to the paddock to get another ball. And Robinson coming off a 263 game. Just goes to show it doesn't matter what kind of pins are at the end of the lane. The lane can change your fortunes quite quickly with the wrong ball or wrong target line going on.
Yep, good example why we're not looking at scoring. Scoring is too easily changed based on too many factors. Pattern being the biggest and most obvious. But yeah, I tell you, those 140 games when you're bowling in an event like this, they happen way too quick.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And it's very frustrating. You got to make sure you limit that as much as possible, and obviously the best are good at eliminating those games and jumping on top of that way faster than I do.
Yeah, so 267 for Tackett of the Zach variety. Habiger, your leader on the squad at plus 115 after 3 games. He's keeping himself relatively clean, just coming back off an open, but he's got a double offset net. He's at plus 115. Kevin McCune second on the squad. There you see McCune walking back. McCune, 267 game 3 to get to plus 106. Marshall Kent third at plus 72. Kyle Troop fourth, plus 55. And we mentioned Brian Robinson. He was fifth on the squad. He's going to be falling back rapidly this game. His 263 game got on the plus 51. Martinez, Tackett, Knowles, Cooley, and A.J. Johnson at plus 16 around the top 10 on the squad.
Yeah, that's quite a group, actually. That's a good crew.
Speaking of A.J. Johnson, let's take a peek in. As Johnson not having a great game. He had a 3-bagger, but he's offset that with 2 open frames and still get 2-0. Hibbard of the William variety at plus 10, and Hibbard looking to put together a game in the 250s. Same for Martinez.
Nice.
And we got Martinez at plus 47.
Yeah, one of the key things here, the reason why we want to be here and do this regional as well as the regional next week is, we had the PBA 50 guys in Florida, but, today you see a much higher speed and rev rate, and that's important to us as well. We need to evaluate it from, multiple angles, anything elite level, top level, PBA 50 wise, or regional with a lot of national tour members, give us the best data to make good decisions off of.
Got a question here from Sweet Prince in the chat, asking about compiling data about how fast the pins are moving as compared to free fall pins. As a fan of the PBA, one of the big things that keeps me watching, but it seems like the pins EJ is throwing around are sluggish. Good question.
Yeah, so looking at stuff like that, that translates back to just scoring in general, and that is not something I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on. USBC has already tested through Bowl Score and a variety of leagues as far as scoring and pinfall in general. So I do see that, we talked about messengers, the messengers are just not quite the same. And I think we all understand that, strings are going to either get in the way of messengers or maybe affect the speed of them. So I get where you're coming from, and that'll be part of our discussion process. But as far as data and analysis go, I have to admit, that's not something I'm going to spend time on trying to measure how fast they move or fall down or what have you. So I've left a part of this up to the USBC and their initial study and step, and I worked for USBC and ABC prior to that, and WIBC for 16 years, and worked in equipment specs, and so I'm fully aware of the evaluation process, and I've talked with those guys, and so I understand what they looked at, and everything was logical and science-based. And so, I'm just kind of taking it a step further and looking at it from a elite level perspective. And does that, affect our level of competition, positively, adversely, or a combination of both?
Well, and here's a question, and it's an interesting question. I'm going to throw this one at you, and we'll take it as it's worth. How do you have an honest discussion about string pins when the largest operator in the world owns the PBA? Wouldn't it be a conflict of interest when everyone employed at the PBA is technically employed by Bolero? And I can flatly, as an outside observer, tell you when it comes to the PBA, that's not the case. And a prime example of that, ladies and gentlemen, is what's happening here. I mean, you guys could have just rubber stamped it when it was approved by USBC. I mean, so as someone who's kind of close to the PBA, but not a PBA employee or anything like that, I can easily say it could have been rubber stamped and done. I see zero conflict of interest when it's being analyzed like it is. So I'm answering that question for you, Neil. I hope you're okay with that answer.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate that. And yeah, I can understand somebody's perspective looking at it that way.
Right.
But that would be true for the urethane change that we made a year ago, beginning of this year as well. And obviously we didn't just rubber stamp the situation. So,
right.
Bolero realizes, there's an elite level of competition, and that's different than the league environment and the open play environment that they have. And, they're allowing us to do what we need to do to maintain fairness and consistency for the elite level.
Right. So, and, with Bolero being a publicly traded company, you can see what their future plans are, or all their financial reports that come out. They haven't come out and said we're converting every single Bolero center to string pins within the next X number of years. That's just not the case. It's not going to happen that way. And they have to be transparent to their stockholders. That's one thing that people don't realize with some other companies. They don't have to be in the bowling industry. They don't have to be transparent because they're privately owned. If stockholders are getting concerned that their money's being wasted or that the expenses are getting outlandish or such, they're going to let the board of directors and the CEO, Tom Shannon, everybody know that, because if you don't have stockholders, a publicly traded company, you're worth nothing. So, those reports are always out there for people to look at. I've seen nothing in the public reports, and I'm a stockholder.
And there's no plans to replace everything with string pins.
Right.
Honestly, just from a common sense standpoint, there are plenty of centers out there that Bolero owns and others that regular free fall is fine. It's the way to go. It's not the right time. It's not the right way to spend money to just replace it. We're going to continue doing things the way we're doing things at a lot of those centers. Yeah. But there are other centers that, it's time to do this for mechanic reasons, for maintenance reasons, etc. And so, it is happening at some places at sometimes, and that's true across the industry, not just at Bolero centers.
So as this is a small independent center owned by the Tacketts, next week we're at a small independent center owned by the Hainan family. So, it's happening. It's not just happening at the corporate level. It's across all levels of bowling. So we're going to hold on that point. We're going to take a little audio intermission here. We're going to get some graphics changed and such. We're going to let Neil take a breather here, relax. I'm going to do the same thing. We hope you get a chance to refresh your beverage. We're halfway through B Squad qualifying here at the PBA Family Fort of Bluffton Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. Player movement, they are going to be moving just one pair to the right after this game. So you'll see Knowles and company just simply move over to from 7-8 to 9 and 10, and so on for the rest of the field.
And we have one commercial. This is 10 on the deck.
Thanks, Neil. All right, let's head up to the high end here for a little bit. We've got Zach Tackett, your A, Brian Robinson, your C on 19 and 20, 21 and 22, Trevor Parov, your A, Marshall Kent, your B, Craig Lamond, your C. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We probably get Neil back in a little bit. He'll answer a few more questions as well. Great discussion we're having here, and
it was not a fun experience. And then I thought I was gonna stick on the next one, and I thought I was gonna slide out to the knots.
Well, Shannon, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm going to give you a prime example of how Bolero and the PBA are supporting the sport. It's right there at the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. Registration is open for those bowlers that are Bolero PBA LBC members and bowlers that bowled past editions of the PBA LBC National Championship. And for the 2024 event, Bolero added over $130,000 in prize money. Every penny you saw those participants bowl on the PBA LBC Clash on FS1 a couple weeks back, that was all added money, that entire $100,000. They also added more than $30,000 into the tournament prize fund proper across the 8 divisions of competition. I challenge anyone next year to come out to that tournament. It's a very well-run event. The center, Bolero Mount Prospect, great staff there. 0 issues with anything in that center. And trust me, I bowled at Bolero Wauwatosa for many years as a league bowler, and I've voiced my opinion, not happy with what has happened there. And being at Bolero Mount Prospect entirely changed my mind. Gina and her staff there do a great job, not just keeping the LBC bowlers happy, but their league bowlers and open play bowlers happy. So, and I challenge anybody to come out and try out the LBC National Tournament next year. General public entries open December 1st. You can choose your squad times for 7 weekends to bowl from the end of May through the middle of July. And it's not a long ad for Bolero. It's my personal opinion. I've live streamed that event for 2 years now, and I wouldn't live stream an event that I don't believe in. So I'm here this weekend because I believe in what the PBA is doing with these, analyzing the string pin machines and such. I'm friends with the Tackett family, another reason why I'm here. So it's not a long advertisement for Bolero itself. It's for an advertisement for one of the best tournaments I think is around with the LBC National Championships, and I think more people should be bowling it. All the added money. How many other tournaments are there in the nation that a 110 average male youth bowler can bowl on national TV if they do well enough?
And win $60,000.
Yeah. Well, Gianna averaged a little more
up
than
to.
one. Yeah, Gianna averaged a little more than 110. But Garrett Beyer,
Yeah.
Garrett averaged a 110 entering that tournament, shot the highest game of his life, shot 259, held on in the boys handicap division, and there he was at Bayside Bowl, leading everything, and he was the number 1 draw for when it was a random draw for the order, and he was the number 1 draw. I mean, think about that. How many tournaments can you walk into in this country as an amateur player and bowl on national television? I know of one, and that's that one.
That's the only one
And like I said, I believe in that tournament. I'm glad to have been a part of it the last couple of years, and I will promote it as I see fit on this telecast with 10 on the Deck Productions. Yeah, we're lucky enough to stream it to the PBA YouTube channel, but I believe in it. I think others should too. So good to have Neil back in the booth. We got any score updates for 4 games yet? We'll let you do the score rundown. Here we go.
All right. Well, from this squad, Kevin McGune is still leading, and he's based on his plus minus, he's in 4th place. Marshall Kent is at plus 109. He's in 2nd on the squad. Hebecker is plus 105, so right behind him, 3rd on the squad. Benji Martinez is plus 74. And then Hibbard of the William variety, as I believe you say,
yes,
is plus 67. EJ Tackett is plus 59. Kyle Troop plus 47. And then rounding out the top 15 at this point is Zach Tackett of the Zach variety, plus 39. But then Sam Cooley and Ronnie Russell are right there at plus 34, plus 33, and even Bailey Mavericks at plus 32. So it's really tight right now in the 15 to 18 range, and so we got quite a few more games to go here.
So yeah, Zach Tackett making a run. I mean, boy, you could have just mailed it in. He was a bunch under after the first 2 games, opened the first 3 frames of game 3 and still finished at 223, and then pops 267. We'll get back to how he's progressing in his game. We're going next over to his brother EJ, as EJ just into the 3rd frame and started with a double. So using the PBA plus-minus system, yeah, we can't compare equally because A squad has all 8 games in. B squad only has 4, but as you mentioned, Zach Tackett would be the cut number right now at plus 39. So you take that and you double it, it's plus 78. Well, Scott McIntyre from A squad is at that same number, plus 78, so McIntyre's got to be sweating it a bit. And then, of course, we see bowlers with the capabilities of Ronnie Russell, Sam Cooley, Bailey Maverick,
Justin Knowles, and AJ Johnson also.
Right. Yeah, there's if I'm McIntyre Jr., I'm sweating a bit, and I still don't think that Steve Novak at plus 110 and Andrew Halverson that plus 113 off of A squad are out of full sweat yet, because we saw the scoring pace start to pick up in the second half as this Wayne Webb pattern kind of got blown open a little bit by these players. So we'll
300 the last game.
Yeah, we'll see if that holds true. So.
All right. Any more exciting questions or comments
well,
out
it's
of
just funny. Somebody just put, nobody wants to watch a 110 average bowler. I like watching a 110 average bowler in that clash format. How many rounds did the 110 average bowler get through? They were still in the event after Liz Johnson got knocked out. Could you do that in any other tournament?
Yeah.
I mean, the excitement level right there. It's so much fun to watch.
Exactly. It gives you somebody to root for out of the ordinary, or at least watch and be interested. You know, there's a lot that goes on in a TV show. There's pressure. Phil helped me do a video with Norm Duke talking about the first time you're on TV and what you do, how you deal with it. So check out Neil's Bowling Breakdown on the PBA YouTube channel, and check out the Norm Duke first time on TV video, because that's kind of an interesting, unique perspective to look at. He's been on TV a lot over the years, and he was a great person to ask that question. So
Norm was so much fun at the LBC Clash, and he was talking to all the players, and you could tell he was emotionally moved when Gianna Brandolino threw that 9 count to beat Chris Prather the last round. And when he gave Gianna the trophy, Norm had tears in his eyes. He was so happy.
Yeah, that is a cool tournament. I mean, we've seen a Clash style TV show, quite a few times over the years, but it's really a unique one. You got the winners from all the different divisions, and you got people like Lenny Borsch, who, PBA Hall of Famer. Okay, he's not somebody that's going to beat Chris Prather time in and time out, but in that format, man, that is just an interesting, pressure-packed, fun, exciting format. I'm sorry, it's a great one.
I mean, we were in the back talking while the taping was going on. We're a few rounds in, and I forgot who threw the 5 count initially, but then we were like, yeah, well, what are the odds Graham Foz going to throw a 5 count? What's the odds Graham Foz going to greet church with my exact words? And all of a sudden, you walked away, Graham Foz stepped up and promptly greet church. And I'm like, oh, my.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah,
it's a great format, and people love the variety. What's going to happen later on in October is that people are going to have a chance on, as I like to say, Big Daddy Fox.
Yep, Big Fox.
On Sunday, October 27th, check your local listings for when it actually airs, because it's going to air on one side or the other of the NFL games that they carry. But the Go Bowling PBA Elite League Strike Derby. That Strike Derby format is so fun. 2 minutes trying to chuck as many strikes as you can. You got players like EJ Tackett, Andrew Anderson in it, and they actually work at trying to get the timing and delivery down. It's so much fun to watch. And that show's going to be on Big Daddy Fox, and it's probably going to be the highest rated PBA show of the year, because it's something that regular folk can relate to.
Yeah, it's like our home run derby, and it's just fun and interesting to watch. I actually went to a home run derby when it was in Milwaukee years ago, and when they had the All-Star game there in Milwaukee, and it's fun. It's fantastic, especially in person. So I'd say the same thing about Strike Derby. In person is great to watch, because there's so much going on behind the scenes as well when people are prepping and getting ready on the lanes. You see some of the bowlers, they don't have, say, 10 of the same ball drilled the same way. Maybe if you wanted to win, maybe that's what you would think about doing. But you got people throwing different balls on different lines on the same lane, going back and forth, just trying to bowl as fast as you can. So you're not going to wait for your favorite ball to come back. You just got to grab the next one you got sitting on the rack, and then you got to think quick and be like, oh, where do I throw this one? Do I throw the second arrow, third arrow? What am I doing here? And then go. And so it's been quite interesting to watch from a lot of viewpoints.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask you to take your role as a PBA executive off for a second and put your fanner hat on. Let's talk fan asking, is EJ Tackett not have 2 of the greatest years in PBA Tour history? And what the Player of the Year vote? Do you get a Player of the Year vote as a person in the PBA? I know as a media member I get a PBA Player of the Year vote.
So no, I do not get a Player of the Year vote.
Okay, so you can be full and objective about this.
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, I can't say, here's who I voted for,
Right.
which some people like to do. But so yeah, he's had 2 great years. This year is, he had another great year. Statistically, it's not as obvious from my standpoint,
Right.
looking at it from the outside. He had a great year, but then you got Marshall Kent and Simonson and Bill O'Neill, who all had great years. I mean, you can mix in a lot of other people as well, even Boog. You got Kyle Troop and Belmo.
Kyle with a major, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All the majors were split up this year. In the past couple of years, we've had multi-major winners,
Right.
which kind of pulls it apart as far as, I don't know, who's going to win more times than not. So it's been very interesting. We had a lot of variety this year. We had, if you look at the TV shows, we had a lot of different people on TV, and we still had, the top players at the top, but it's not as obvious who had the player of the year this year. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the vote comes out to be and who ends up player of the year. I do get a vote for the Elite League MVP that Andrew Anderson won.
Yeah, well deserved. I mean, my goodness.
I'm a stats guy, so I voted for him, and obviously other people viewed it the same way as I did.
Yeah.
And then through the TV shows, he he continued his dominance. He was unbelievable in the 10th, and in an interview that again we did together, he kind of gives explanation as to why he had success in that environment, and I think it'll be great information. Planning to release that this coming week, and it should be on Tuesday. And just great information for anybody who bowls Baker format, collegiately, high school, middle school, and even the league bowlers who, he talks a lot about focus in between your shots, and if you're in a 4 or 5 man league and you don't get to throw a shot for a while, he talks about how to deal with that. So I thought that was a great interview. So hopefully everybody checks that out.
Yeah, it was fun to work on that with you and polish the finished product off and made sure all your hair was in place. So we got that going. So.
My hairpiece was in place, yeah. The worst, after David Letterman, I have the worst hairpiece in bowling.
Wolfman's got it right. It seems like every few years there's a new issue arising in the bowling world. Now it's string pitchers. Before that it was two-handed bowling. Then before that it was reactive resin. Then before that it was urethane. Then it was synthetic. Yeah, but one thing that let's keep it in mind. Bowling is a sport, yes, but bowling is also a business. And you look at all the technological changes, and this is happening since 1895 when the ABC was founded in New York City. Changes that are made for the sport need to benefit the places where it's held. They're not putting in, if they thought that blue turf in Boise, Idaho wouldn't help the attendance at the football games and make it special and people talk about that, they would never put in blue turf. Is it legal? Sure, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing in football rules for college to say your turf has to be green. It's no different than bowling. I mean, you could have a wood lane surface. You want to go back to 1895 and have a wood lane and put shellac over the top of it and, kill a bunch of bugs, crush it, put it on your lane, and then oil that lane front to back 60 feet, which is what they did to protect the shellac because it was so soft. You can still do that. It's perfectly legal, but synthetic lanes help the lifespan of the lanes, help the lifespan of the proprietor on not having to resurface every couple of years and the wear and tear on everything. And A.J. Johnson wearing and tearing on that approach because he's not happy. But, one thing to keep in mind is that if we don't have places to play, sport doesn't exist. So.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much that goes into things like that. And I will give you a weird snippet of information. This is not necessarily technical information.
Right.
But shellac actually doesn't exist anymore. So
really?
putting shellac on a lane would not exist. That's why lacquer came about, and it's very similar. And they use lacquer because it sounded kind of similar to shellac. Shellac was actually it was a bug, a lac bug, and you used the shell of the lac bug and it was in the Pacific Islands. And when the Allies, mainly the United States, went island hopping and used the flamethrowers everywhere, actually the lac bug went extinct. And so you can't get the shellac on lanes anymore. So that's when they invented lacquer, and they use lacquer.
All right.
That's the way I understand all that, and it just further proof that I am a geek.
Yeah, same. I mean, like I said, even remembering that, and remembering watching some old movie one day where it was a woman that owned. I can't remember the name of the movie for life of me. It was a woman that owned a bowling center because her husband had passed away, and she was out there one night after leagues were all done, and she had like a tool, and she was putting shellac back out on the lanes, and then she was going to oil over the top of it.
No,
because the shellac was wearing, but
Yep.
but that's where bowling in the track came from. That's because
they created a track.
Created
Yeah,
a track with the shellac. So.
That's where the wear was, and eventually that became the place to get more friction, and that's the place to play. So yeah. It's we were talking about density of maple earlier today, and just further proof that I am a geek.
Yeah.
I just can't help it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate for my wife, but it's really unfortunate for the listeners too, because I don't think many people find any of that stuff exciting. So I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day, they just painted bowling pins. They had wood bowling pins that were just solid wood, and they just painted over the top of them and made them white. I mean, you look at old pictures.
True.
Even some of them weren't even painted back in the day. They just had to be that size.
And they would shave down the bellies because the bellies would get soft, and they would cut off the bottom because that would get kind of soft also. And so then all of a sudden the pin set better and looked better because they repaint it. But then all of a sudden the ball goes between the 4-5 or something, and you're like, well, what the heck's going on?
Because the pin's too short.
Yeah, so then and it's been shaved in its belly, so its diameter is smaller, and the ball all of a sudden fits between the two. And so that's one of the main reasons why they're like, we need specifications in this sport of bowling. And those, I can't remember the exact question or what the reader poster said, but you see these technological changes in all sports, and things change and they have to adapt. In swimming, it was somehow the buoyancy of the suits that they're wearing would allow them to be up higher in the water, so they had less drag, and the way they swam allowed them to go faster, and so they had to deal with that. In tennis, they had double-strung rackets for a period of time, and then they had to turn around and say, nope, you can't do that, because the double-strung rackets were allowing, really, if you string a racket, it's either kind of tight or kind of loose, and it's either for power or for control, and the double-strung racket allowed you to do both, and all of a sudden people had control and power, and it was just a completely different game. And so, that was a technological change that they had to deal with. And so that's just, I could go on, golf obviously has a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of sports that have gone through just technological changes and issues. Yeah. Even bags, now that cornhole is something that's on TV, like they're talking about washing the bags, and they're getting smaller, and and then they got to measure them, they got to weigh them.
Right.
As soon as money's involved, like all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of specifications that need to be tested and verified.
Look at pickleball. There's a big pickleball controversy because one company brought out paddles that had too much of an abrasive surface that put spin on the ball.
Yep.
That company from Wisconsin, and then they had to recall. I mean, it happens everywhere, and change is gonna happen. They're gonna do what they can to help a player get an advantage. And sometimes in some sports you need to have it where the house proprietor sometimes gets a little help as well. And so you've got long-lasting lane surfaces, and you have pin setters that now always put the pin on spot, and you don't have to have a mechanic on duty because 99.9% of the calls, the machine fixes itself. And we could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to because we're ending Game 5. We're getting ready to go to Game 6. You want to sit in for another one when we come back?
Sure, yeah.
Why not? If bowling Geekery 101 going on for us here, and if you've got any bowling geek questions you need answered, we'll try it. Throw them in the chat.
If you're still awake, let us know.
Oh, they're still awake. They're chirping in there. Don't worry about it. There's enough of them chirping at us right now. Game 6 coming up next from Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana, and the PBA Family Ford of Bluffton, Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. rolls on with Game 6 coming up next. For those of you that are double tabbing us right now, thanks for staying with us in the main feed. And your players from Game 5 to Game 6 are going to skip a couple of pairs and land on the third. So if you're watching EJ Tackett and these players on 17, 18, they're going to go down to 7 and 8. And so some big moves coming up here at the end of Game 5. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back at Game 6 momentarily.
This is a 10 on the Deck production.
I had 191, Avery had 154.
Like I wrote 190.
We're back. PBA Family Florida Bluffton's Yergy's BBQ. Easy Bowl Central Open. love me some Yergys. It was a lot of fun last night. We can just show you some quick highlights from the Pro-Am yesterday. As there is the Yergy's barbecue. Oh, there's Angie Tackett taking care of business, helping get all that food out to the Pro-Am bowlers. There's that roster. What a great roster last night. All PBA Tour champions. And what a crowd we had for the Pro-Am. Full house last night. Neil Stremmel, did you get any Yergy's barbecue last night while you were here?
Yergy's barbecue is the best on the planet. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I'm taking a bottle of that sauce home with me. It's a necessity. It's so that sweet and smoky. Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah, some of the local barbecue places that I've been to across the country. You know, all the traveling we do. Some of the local ones are just the best, and that's a good example of they're really good.
Yes, indeed. Hey, we got some qualifying scores in. We've got A Squad. They bowled all 8 games a little earlier. We're through 5 games here. And
yes.
what do we got for results as of now, Neil?
Yeah, so based on plus minus, so a few more A Squad guys are up there because based on plus minus, and they had a few more games to take advantage of that. David Northhouse is plus 249 in first. Chandler Stevens plus 150. Flora plus 145. And then we have our first B Squad bowler of Kevin McCune plus 138. Then Marshall Kent plus 125. Habiger is plus 117. Back to A Squad is Andrew Halverson at 113, Steve Novak at 110, and then back to B Squad, we got William Hibbard at 103, EJ Tackett at 83, Kyle Troop at 80, Scott McIntyre at plus 78, Balzer at plus 70, Zach Tackett at plus 56, and then Benjamin Martinez rounding out the top 15, which is the cut, at plus 37. So we still have 3 more games for the B Squad bowlers, and there's a few of them that are close. Zeke Bate and Sam Cooley, Ron Russell are all close there. Brian Robinson, Justin Knowles, A.J. Johnson as well. So it's they still got plenty of time, but time is ticking.
I mean, Robinson through 5 games at plus 14. He lost 80 to the plus with game 4 with a 120 game, and he still has a chance to fire a couple of big games and get himself into contention. It just goes to show that this Wayne Webb pattern, not exactly playing super easy for these players as they make their way across the 16 lanes and play. We're using lanes 7 to 22 here for qualifying. They're using lanes 1 to 4 for a makeshift paddock for the players because room's a little limited. You want to make sure you have room for all the bowling balls so people aren't tripping over them or anything of that nature, and safety first. And you know, it's one thing that's pretty neat too. There is a PBA players rule that you must either move your equipment with you from pair to pair or leave it in the paddock, because if you leave it behind on a pair and somebody notices and points it out, you get fined $25 per ball that's in that bag.
Yeah.
So that can get really expensive. You do 3 ball bags behind on a pair.
$150.
There you go. There goes a.
I know, but yeah, you know, those are the kind of rules you put in there because otherwise things get out of hand, and it's the only way you can maintain control and sanity of the situation. There's a few of them like that. You just have to do it. Yeah, and those 120 games or 140, 150, 160 games just happen way too fast. You know, when it's kind of a tough shot,
right?
Which we have out there. You know, you bowl nationals, same things happen to me. I feel like every year I got a 140 or a 160 game, and it just happens way too fast, and you're just like, wow, that's over, and that was not good. It's just part of the deal. You got to learn how to handle that.
Well, that was an interesting pinfall there by Zach Tackett over on 9 and 10, where he had the 6-pin kick the 10, and the 10 kind of slow fell. But we see that often with regular pin serves as well, where the 6 kind of rattles around a little bit and just gets enough of the 10, and the 10 kind of goes, falls over. So it's always interesting to see. Where some people might jump on it and go, oh, that was the string, and it definitely wasn't the string in that case.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to look at it statistically. You know, I'm just going to look at what are the percentages. So if it's consistently something weird going on, we're gonna see it in what's left or what gets picked up at what percentage. You know, everybody's seen in free fall. You know, somebody doesn't even hit the head pin and they get a strike. Happened to Marshall Kent on TV in the tournament championship match this year. I had a buddy back home who shot a 299, and I think it was the 9th frame. He didn't even hit the head pin, but he struck.
And they all fell.
So it's just like, okay, you know, anything can happen. And, you know, usually that's like when somebody throws a Brooklyn or something when they just throw, you know, a bad shot or whatever. But he didn't even hit the head pin, and he still struck. And then he shoots 299. He was like a solid 10 pin, and I almost felt bad for him. But hey, that stuff happens, and so you know you're going to see that stuff happen on string pin also. And you know, I know the previous version of the string pins, you saw a lot of weird stuff because I saw it too, and that was not going to be acceptable. And so USBC worked with the string pin manufacturers, came up with a string length that allowed for a more logical free fall type of scoring, and here we are. You know, it's a much more logical pinfall, much more logical game. And so now we, the PBA, want to spend the time looking, because it's just for a fairness for the elite level, like, is that something that affects us? And, you know, I don't want to just say yes without spending the time, and so PBA wants me to spend the time and look at it and, you know, come to some conclusions from a statistical standpoint, and I'll write up a whole report that you guys can read at your leisure, and we'll go from there. So we haven't decided yet, but this is where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, and just, you know, watching and things where people might say it's questionable hits, I haven't seen a lot of them, and the ones, you know, that we have seen, there's been bowlers that have come up to you and point out, hey, you might want to look at this one.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously in competition, you're not going back and replaying it and changing it, like, or that type of thing, but they're just giving you the heads up going, hey, I may have gotten a break I didn't deserve. And on A squad, honestly, there were, maybe 3 bowlers that came up and said, hey, I might have a questionable. So let's figure out the math. We've got 22 bowlers on the squad. They bowl 8 games apiece. It's 176 games. Let's just say everybody opened their 10th frames, which obviously did, but you know, that's 1,760 first frame balls. That's probably 1,000 spare attempts on top. So there's probably, you know, 2,200 bowling balls at a minimum, or 2,700 bowling balls that went down the lane at a minimum, and there's 3 questionable pinfalls.
Yeah, that's just the first squad, but yeah, that is well less than 1%.
Yeah.
But we're going to look at it. So I wrote down 3 different scenarios that we'll go back and we'll review the video. I've got 3 so far in 5.5 games here. So I've got 3 so far. One of them is from this game already. Yeah. And you know, again, we'll take a look at those. So it's
nice having the video backup to go with the statistics, because anybody can look at things on paper, but when you have the visual of it to back you up on what calls should be made, that's even better. That's honestly one of the reasons why I'm here as well. I'm glad we get to share this with the world, thanks to the PBA YouTube channel, and thanks once again to Tom Clark and Carissa Delbene for letting me as 10 on the Deck Production stream on the PBA YouTube page. But it's multifaceted, so the fans get to see their favorite bowlers, try something new and different, and also you're going to be able to analyze things that happened in real time here when you need it in the future.
Yeah. First thing I'm going to do, as you know, I'm an engineer, and I'm going to get the data, and Lane Talk tells us everything that is left after a first ball, how many strikes, and then if it wasn't a strike, what was left. And then they can also take the next step and say, out of everything that was left, what was the spare percentage? So we had, you know, X number of 10 pins over 2 days, and basically just, you know, we'll have Y number of spare conversions. How does that compare to the national tour? Or, you know, washouts is a good spare conversion. Like, is it easier to get that washout or not? I know at the PBA 50 event in Florida, it was virtually identical. It was very close percentage-wise. But now we have higher speed, higher rev rate. Is that going to affect the spare percentages on the washout or any other spare. And the beauty is I will just be able to pull up the data and do a comparison, and anytime a comparison is more than a few percentage points different, it'll highlight that for me, and then we'll evaluate it. So if it's normally, a spare is normally picked up at 50%, I can just set it that, highlighted if it's 45% or 50%, plus or minus 5%. And then if any spare is more than 5%, and I don't know if that's going to be my percentage, but if it's more than a certain percent different, it'll highlight it, and then we can look at it and be like, oh, this was picked up a lot less or a lot more than on free fall. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to look at it and make some decisions, basically decide if it matters. And same thing with what's left on the first ball. If something's left way more often or way less often, we'll take a look at that and kind of determine why do we think that happened in this scenario, string pin scenario, and determine does that matter. Is that positive or negative? Why not? And we'll go through that. So any of those scenarios that, something was left way too much or way too often, or picked up way too much or not often enough, it'll get highlighted in the data, and then, we'll talk about it, and then I'll be able to put that whole list in my report, and then everybody can see what we're looking at. Also, I hope to put some of the videos then into, like you said. So I'm looking at the data. The data is my main driving factor, but that doesn't tell the whole story, like you were just saying. The videos start to tell you, something weird's happening. So maybe we have the string knocking down a pin, and how often does that happen? And we'll see that in the data, but then it's also nice to look at it video-wise and be able to take that and do something with it. And hopefully I'll be able to make some of those part of the report as well. So that's the plan.
Here's a good question. I don't know if you'll have the answer for it, but we can maybe ask one of the QubicaAMF representatives that we can get in contact with. Any video where you can see the pin setter in action from the back. I tried to run, thought about running something back. There a lot of Ethernet, that kind of thing. It just, the way I don't have a bracket where I can angle the camera properly. I only see like the top of the top 4 pin or 6 pins to shoot at it. But there's got to. Have you ever seen a video of the pin setters in action for the back?
Yeah. So QubicaAMF, I think all of them do. US Bowling, QubicaAMF, Brunswick, Funk. Those are the 4 pin setters. They're the only 4 that I know of, and maybe I'm wrong, but those are the 4 that I know of that USBC has approved from a USBC certification standpoint.
Yeah.
And I've seen videos of at least 3 of the 4 of those. And so they're online, so if you search for them, I'm sure you can find it. But in addition to doing the report, one of the things that Phil and I have talked about is maybe doing a string pin summary. And so when I write this report, let's kind of summarize what we've looked at, because I know everybody doesn't want to read 13 pages of technical report and I don't know how many pages of data, because that's what I did with the last the urethane study,
right.
And I know a lot of people didn't read that, which is fine. But I think if we do a video on this, we can get some video of the pin setter. So that's a great suggestion by whomever.
Linda made that
Linda out there.
Thanks,
so
Linda.
yeah, so that I think that'll be a big help for everybody to kind of see and understand. And it is different. It's definitely different from regular free fall pin setter, but obviously.
But it's the nearest I've seen out of any version of the string pin setters to this point. I mean, looking at another ball and pin sport, there's 9 pins very big in Germany and a lot of Eastern European countries, and there's countries that bowl in international competition for 9 pin. actually the old what was the old bowling organization that was the FIQ? It was
FIQ.
Yeah, there was 10-pin and 9-pin divisions of the FIQ, and now World 9-pin is their own thing, and they've bowled with strings for their pins for as long as I can remember. I don't think they ever had a free fall pin setter in 9-pin.
Yeah, I mean they probably do, but
I've never seen one in international competition.
I guess
like you said, Bowling Geek. I've looked at you look at various bowling games around the world, and they have string pin setters.
Well, I do know that Funk and they're in Germany. That's pronounced Funk. I actually visited them in the year 2000, I believe it was. So they're Germany is the biggest country by far for 9-pin, and they're Funk is from Germany, and they make those pin setters as well. So obviously they know how to make string pin setters, and they're one of the ones that make a 10-pin string pin machine as well. And so add to that, there's duck pin, banded duck pin, and candle pin, and some of those have strings as well.
Ducks I've seen. I'm not sure if I've seen candle pins. And we could have went around when we were up at Bayside. We could have went around touring local candle pin establishments. But I haven't seen candle pin.
I haven't either, actually.
On strings.
But I know some of the others do. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mix of duck pin, banded duck pin, Canadian 5-pin.
5-pin string. There's string and free fall there, but most of the free fall machines are being taken out as well because much more efficient with the strings for 5-pin. Zach Wilkins from Canada on the PBA tour. Zach, former Canadian 5-pin bowler that converted to 10-pin. So we could ask next time we see Mr. Wilkins, we'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably remember Robin Crawford. She started in Canada.
Now Robert Orlikowski, yes.
Yeah, so Robin Orlikowski now, married to Billy Orlikowski from Brunswick. Yeah. And but she started Canadian 5-pin, or she did Canadian 5-pin anyways, that she had told me years and years ago, and I think that requires a lot of accuracy, so I think that helps when you make the switch over to 10-pin. So there's a couple of people who have done that very successfully.
Yeah. So we're going to finish up the coverage on Game 6 here. Neil, thanks for sitting with us for a few games and helping just let people know what's going on, that this situation is not being taken lightly at all by the PBA, that it's being addressed scientifically, and that you are accepting what the bowlers see. You're having surveys sent to the bowlers that bowl in this event and the next event. And I know QubicaAMF is also asking for input from the players as well. So, I mean, you're looking at the highest level of the game here at the PBA, and obviously integrity is important. It's been important. That's why the new urethane bowling ball rules were made, to make sure competition stays
fair and even.
Once you get on the lanes, it's a whole different story. Then it's up to your talent, ability, and other factors, reading lanes and having the right ball in your hand and such. But before you get on the lanes, you're on the same playing field, and that's what this Research Regional and next week's Research Regional is all about for these QubicaAMF string pin setters and any other manufacturers of string pin setters as well.
Exactly, yeah. So if we have other pin setter manufacturers that want to go through this, we will do that with them as well.
Appreciate the time, Neil. I'm sure we'll talk to you a little bit tomorrow during Advances round. And
let me know if there's any. Thank you. Let me know if there's any additional questions. Appreciate it.
Yeah, drop them in the YouTube chat, and we can forward them along to Neil if they're important or pertinent.
All right, excellent. Have a good day.
Game 7 coming up next.
I'll come back over by you.
They're in the back seat. So we can go out.
I guess you would say, well, it looks good though.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad shape.
I mean, it's going left. What's going on? Why am I not striking one?
Because you're throwing it good?
No, it's not. I'm barely tall enough.
Mine definitely. Mine definitely got through it. Shaped off it. Because mine actually looked like this and it kept coming. I didn't even think about stopping or reading it. That might go too much.
there's some bowlers starting to sweat from A squad right now, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. We'll get you that 6-game scoring update coming up shortly. I'm $2 Phil Bryla. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on the PBA YouTube channel. Hey, they're letting me play with the big kids now. Usually we have our live streaming on the respective PBA regional page when the PBA and USBC and Bowl TV all give me the rights to an event. And if Bowl TV is not streaming, always appreciative of being able to do that. I'm a personal believer that the guys and ladies that are PBA members that are at the regional level may never bowl a national tournament in their life, but they're grinding any weekends they can out on the PBA regional tour should get a little attention once in a while. And I'm glad we're able to bring you this event this weekend, and we're on the big kids page of PBA bowling. Thanks again to Tom Clark. Thanks again to Chris Adele Bene and everyone else at the PBA that's integral about not only getting us on the air with PBA YouTube, but promoting us being on the air this weekend as well. We know there's several choices for your bowling viewing pleasure out there this weekend. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we have 7 PBA Tour titleists in our field. I think we're a pretty good choice for your viewing. Oh, hey, Brian Hirsch, I got to send you an email. I got some information off that Parker Bone, the 3rd scholarship tournament, covered last weekend. You can see those replays. Boy, you want to see some great youth players. My goodness. Yeah, Parker Bone, the 3rd scholarship tournament on YouTube. Watch the finals. Beautiful center they have there inside of Howell Lanes with the Rev Rates Training Center. And actually, that's a training center that when it was built 5 or so years ago, Parker Bone and his family, they have 5 lanes in operation. They put in 4 lanes with GSX pin setters, and they put in a 5th lane with strings. And when I asked Parker about that a few years back, going, well, why'd you go with the strings pin setter for the 5th one? He goes, someday they're going to be all over the place, and I'm going to want to know how those pins fall. And I'm going to be able to do it here in this facility, and other people are going to be able to do it as well. And not sure if I know the machine, he was talking about getting it upgraded to USBC-certified from Brunswick. That's the manufacturer Parker obviously would have in his center since he's been with them for decades. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'll have to get in touch with Parker and see if they. I didn't see the string pin lane in action this year. It's been used in previous years for. They've had some ball demos, that type of thing, during the run of the Parker Bowl in the 3rd tournament. So, but I know he was planning on getting the upgrade done. I have to talk to him if it's been done or when it's going to be done. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was on Extra Frame as well, Son of Nothing. Yeah, Flow Bowling, yeah. Extra Frame, actually this is my 10-year anniversary in bowling live streaming. I've been broadcasting for bowling a lot longer than that. Started putting things out in Milwaukee on cable television. Started back in 2007. So yeah, I've been going strong for a while. We were on TV until 2019 when the Spectrum Sports channel folded. And then primarily constructed or stuck with live streaming since then. But I do have bowling coming back on the air in Milwaukee. There was an old show in the 80s and 90s called The Bowling Game. You can see it on YouTube. There's some old shows out there. It's just a fun way to show bowling. It's just 4 frames of bowling. They show up with 5-player teams as Kevin McCune just carried a messenger. We'll find that one coming up shortly. Give you an extra peek on that once we get across it. But yeah, so we're bringing that format back in a show called the Brew City Bowling Show, and happy to be producing that in the southeastern Wisconsin area. But yeah, 10 years in live streaming. My goodness, how time flies. Bunch of years of extra frame, couple years of Flow Bowling till the pandemic, and their business plans changed a bit. And now 10 on the Deck Productions. That's been going strong since 2020. So, and we've done, this is our 9th PBA regional event we've streamed this year. Other ones have all been streamed on either Bowling Center social media pages or on the respective Facebook page for a PBA region, whether it be Central or Midwest. And yeah, glad to be able to have this one on the big show on the PBA YouTube page. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow you're going to get your advancers round at 10 a.m. Eastern time to start. Our top 15 are going to make it out of today's qualifying. And they're going to bowl 8 additional games, pile the pinfall on. And then we'll cut to our top 4 for a step ladder. All right, we mentioned bowlers sweating things out. We got a sweater right here. So Andrew Halverson coming off of A squad. You finished up with plus 113. Game 7, Game 8. Scoring pace kind of for everybody, but a couple of guys really slowed down on this Wayne Webb pattern. What was the reason for a bit of the slowdown? I mean, you still ended up just a little over the plus for 2, but I know you were in like pin gathering mode. What happened with the pattern that kind of slowed down the scoring pace for a bunch of the field?
Near the end, it really felt like our squad threw a lot more urethane.
Okay.
Just paying attention to what's going on, and near the end, they got really touchy, real speed sensitive. So those last few, I really just took a look around at where I was, and I felt like 100 was going to be safe, so I just chose like a little bit of a safer ball reaction.
Sure.
And looking around for the people who went for 250, they ended up going 150.
Okay.
So I'm pretty happy with my decision of just kind of slowing it down and just going into a little bit of a prevent defense.
Yeah. Yeah, odds are, I mean, with the way the pace is slowing down right now, after 6, you're sitting, let's see, about 80 above and actually 90 above the cut number. So you should be sitting, one would think, pretty okay.
Yeah, I saw Ryan is has a little bit of some signs of life there.
Yeah, the 300 game at plus 26, still leaving him in contention. Hopefully he doesn't live that far away. He can get back here in a half hour. So
I messaged him. I'm like, hey, by the way, you have some signs of life here.
So, yeah, he's got A.J. Johnson tied with him right now on the old plus score. So let's give a quick rundown for everybody here as we look at our top 16 or so. Northhouse, your leader off of A squad. He's at plus 249. McCune's bowling on this pair right here on 7 and 8, so we'll leave it on here for a few seconds as he'll get a chance to throw again. McCune at plus 170. Marshall Kent, your defending champion, plus 164. Chandler Stevens was on A squad, so it's a dead score of plus 150. Brandon Flora, dead score of plus 145 in fifth. EJ Tackett's just been gradually climbing up the leaderboard as Tackett sitting at plus 117. You are sitting in seventh, sir. Andrew Halverson at plus 113, just a pin ahead of William Hibbard. Steve Novak at plus 110, dead score off of A squad. Novak's still around here somewhere. I saw him, I swear.
Kyle just got a huge break for a four-bagger right there.
Wait, breaks aren't supposed to happen on string pins. You're supposed to pay full penalty for everything.
I was getting a lot of breaks.
Sarcasm off, yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Mike and Haberger here in Bluffton, he's hanging tough. Unfortunately, 166 game in Game 6 falls.
I saw that.
Has him fall back to plus 83, but still well in contention. I mean, he throws a couple 200s. One would think he's going to see action tomorrow on the lane. Scott McIntyre off A squad, plus 78. Jacob Balzer, plus 70. Yeah, those two guys are still sweating it out a bit because when you have Kyle Troop, Zach Tackett, A.J. Johnson, Benji Martinez, and Zeke Bate all behind you and still within 60 pins with 2 to go, you can't count those guys out.
No, I think Kyle has definitely figured out based off that last shot, a little bit more of a stable ball reaction. He's a lot further left than I was. He's in an Ion Pro, I do believe.
Okay.
And, yeah, he's just kind of sending it at the gutter. It just looks like he's definitely found someone that's a little more stable because he was in an Optimum Model Pearl, and it just looked a little twitchy, a little too speed sensitive. A lot of the guys that are scoring near the top are in more solid ASIM equipment, so it's going to be a little more stable through the front part of the lane throughout the back. But I say I really like what Kevin's been doing. He's just been, you know, he's Kevining. He's throwing hard. And he has the rev rate to back it up, so he's been in a mesmerize most of the time. That's what Flora did in the first squad. Pretty sure Brandon was in urethane for like 2 games, maybe. And he just got straight into a mesmerize and took full advantage of the free hook that he found out there. Kyle almost with another great break for a 5-bagger.
All right, so let's talk. What did you see today? Is this the first time you've ever bowled on these certified string pins?
It's my first time bowling on strings in general.
Okay.
So coming in, you know, I had a good bit of mixed opinions on it.
Okay. Did you do any homework, like finding videos on YouTube or anything like that? Okay. I know some of the guys did.
I really wanted to, you know, I've seen them in passing, but mainly coming in, I just wanted to have more of like a blank slate on them, you know?
Yeah.
I think the main thing that I did really enjoy about them is it really shows a difference in people who know how to get their ball to be consistent throughout their entire lane. It allows you to really see the difference in who has early ball motion and stable from pair to pair, because creating angle is what most of these guys like to do after they throw urethane. They like to get left, and they like to swing it. Yeah. And on the string pins, that's really hard to get away with. Like coming in, I mainly wanted to keep my angles shallow and stay away from, you know, like the big long snaps down lane. I really wanted to have the early roll and just mainly stability. And yeah, I about to say not a whole lot of people really seem to understand that concept, and it really diverse like the our squad. Like Scott McIntyre, definitely lower rev player. That's the thing. The beauty of the string pins is the rev rate doesn't matter all of a sudden.
Okay.
I feel like there's no difference between someone who has a 350 rev rate versus a 600 rev rate, because everyone's pocket is going to get a lot narrower because you have to enter in such a shallow angle to carry consistently. And it's harder. It's a lot harder to get your ball to go through the pins on these.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of, and everybody that's watching on YouTube, if you're looking for something to do tonight, just search old championship bowling shows on YouTube.
The gold pins?
Well, no. This is like 50s and 60s. Oh. This is like right at the advent of the automatic pin setters and stuff like that. And watch the pinfall on those. And sure, it was a different time frame. Obviously, the bowling balls weren't as dynamic as now. But the lane surfaces with lacquer lane surfaces that, you know, force the bowlers to really – you don't see slow ball speeds on 1950s and 1960s bowling, because with the lacquer, it would slow down the bowling ball so much, the friction that was made, because it was such a soft lane surface. That's why they had the hard rubber bowling balls, and they still hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Because if anybody's ever here bowled on either Lane Shield or Guardian, and there's some of us old enough to have done that, which was like a synthetic overlay for wood lanes, it was so soft you could put your fingernail into it. Lacquer wasn't quite that soft, but soft enough. And That's what made, that's why these players had to throw it so hard. They didn't have a ton of revs, but the ball still hooked a little bit and a lot of track shots in it. But you watch the pinfall, and it eerily reminds me of what watching pinfall on the first bunches of automatic pin setters were.
Yeah.
With a little slower and a little firmer, and you had to make sure you were solid in the pocket, and the half hits didn't carry you. It's eerily reminding me of that, and once Neil Sturmel and I were talking, we're bowling geeks, but go back and take a look at some of the old championship bowling shows, and you kind of get a feel for what pinfall. I mean, it kind of reminds me of going back a bit in pinfall, where you threw the ball well and you were rewarded for it.
Oh yeah.
And if you had some errant rev rate or speed or something, you paid a little bit more of a price for it. I mean, you're not paying you guys aren't paying 8-10 prices like these players would.
Oh no, I'm about to say
do
they
back in the
definitely.
day.
I mean, we're throwing a lot more modernized equipment, much stronger.
Right.
The engine's bigger, the tires have more tread. So like back then, even on top of the balls rolling so early into the lane, they didn't have any engine. So like they didn't have any drive through the pins on top of that. I would, yep. I'm a big bowling nerd too. I like whenever I'm at home and I'm doing nothing, I usually just put on like older tournaments, just watch them. It's
Right.
a different world. My main takeaway is the bowlers and their characteristics, like the way they act on the lanes.
Yeah.
They're a lot more animated back then.
I'm sorry to interrupt your normal programming, but we're getting near the end of. Actually, we'll do this between games. We'll keep you in the booth for a little bit, because this is gonna be fun between games for a second or two. We'll wait till Troop shoots his 10th frame here and gets through. As you see, he's getting set up. He's got a solid score. He's gonna keep himself well within the.
Yeah, but this is another
Top
thing
bunch.
is I've really noticed, like, take a good look at Kyle's game is how well it was going and how quickly it can go. I mean, how quickly you can
Right.
lose 30 pins off your score just by simply making a half-decent shot
Yeah.
and then paying max penalty on it.
So he scrambles the rack. So here we go. Let's have some fun. Most people won't recognize this man, but there you can see Jack Biondelillo, one of the first players to shoot 300 on TV in the PBA. But you see there the old hard rubber ball up the track. You see how firm he throws it, and then the half hit, and all of a sudden there's the 5-7. So
I saw 2 of those today.
yeah. So yeah, if you don't get out of it great, or the ball's not tipping at the proper point of the lane and everything, then you're going to have some problems. And let me guess, he probably makes this. Oh no, just missed. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the pinfall that you'd see back in the 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah. I like watching just more or less really back to when like the urethane and the plastic days of Mark Roth and Marshall Holman.
Yeah.
It's like you watch how much of like the PBA low lights and highlights have you seen?
Oh,
of that
God.
one guy, like Bowling Planet, I think his name is.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's one out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember watching Mark Roth on Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons. So yeah.
Well, he posted one of Pete Weber, and just looking back then, it's just the tens were violent. Just no hits. Like that's what it really reminded me of. Is when I watched that video, is like Weber, the ball would hook at the arrows,
right,
and it would still ring a 10-pin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it reminded me of. Yeah. And looking at what you pulled up, it's definitely similar.
Oh yeah, the ball motions have changed with everything over the year, and there's the bingo bango bongo for true. Hey, you want to hang around for game 8?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, let's take a little audio intermission here because I got some graphics I got to run around the concourse and change because, as we mentioned earlier, 10 on the Deck Productions, it's $2 Phil on the microphone, PJ Brylo on the graphics, and Philly Bob on the production assistants. So, yeah, as in me, myself, and I. So, Andrew Halverson's going to stay in the booth, and we'll be back with the 8th and final game of B Squad qualifying, and we'll see how much the sweat rate goes down here once we get the Game 7 scores in. All right, we are into game 8. Player movement completed. We'll get game 7 scores for you momentarily. Just want to make sure we get proper thank you to our sponsors now, even though we are on the PBA Bowling YouTube page. This is a 10 on the deck production. Once again, I want to thank Tom Clark, Carissa Del Bene, and everybody at Bolero and the PBA for bumping us up for our coverage this weekend to YouTube. So first, I want to thank our season-long sponsors, those being the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. Entries have already opened for those that bowled in previous editions of the event or are Bolero LBC members. Entries open to the general public on December 1st. You can get your chance to be part of that PBA Clash. You get your chance at some big guaranteed prize money. Get all your tournament information today at pba.com/LBC tournament. Also want to thank H5G Brands for their support all season long. And you saw Gianna Brandolino at that PBA LBC Clash take down the $60,000 for first place. And H5G is helping Gianna celebrate, not only by making her collection available to everyone, but you can use the code Brandolino20 for up to 20% off. Some restrictions apply. When we're done with Game 8, go check out what's available to you. And hey, if you see a jersey that you like E.J. Tackett's jersey or Ronnie Russell's jersey, get your version of it, customize it for yourself, h5gbrands.com. And we want to thank coming on to this event. Sorry, AJ, I apologize. You're sitting right in front of me, and I missed AJ Johnson for H5G Brands. Bad Phil. And BowlerX.com, another brand that AJ Johnson represents with BowlerX. Several players in the field, Kyle Troop, Tackett Brothers as well. And they're supporting the Striking Out Breast Cancer Foundation in October, with it being a Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make a purchase at BowlerX.com. You have the option of making a donation to Striking Out Breast Cancer Foundation. And if you're part of that, once they get $500 in donations, every $500 in donations, they'll make a drawing out of those donators, and you could receive a bowling ball, bowling bag, or bowling shoes valued up to $250 of your choice. Support those that support the sport, as my friend Neil Stremmel likes to say. Get all your details, bowlerx.com. And join me once again in the booth. I don't think there's much sweating going on for you right now, Andrew Halverson. I think you're kind of safe. Even though Zeke Bate just shot 258, and he's going to vault his way up the standings a little bit.
I was expecting these last couple games to have some big bangs go out with them, you know.
So Kevin McHugh is leading after 6 here on B Squad at plus 170. Let's see if we have updated totals. Yes, we do. And our defending champion, Marshall Kent, back in the lead. I believe Marshall is on, what's he on this game? 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's double check that.
I think that's a good
pair. 17, 18. Yeah, there we go. 17, 18. He's bowling with Craig Lamond and Trevor Parav. Unfortunately, Lamond and Parav not having quality days on the lanes.
No, there's definitely a handful of people on the squad that are just not having any fun.
Right. And unfortunately, that's 2 of them. Marshall Kent, though, plus 180. Supplants McCune in the first. McCune at plus 159. He's second on the squad. Third overall. Northhouse is our leader. A couple dead scores with Stevens and Flora before we get to E.J. Tackett at plus 138.
No, EJ passed me already?
Yeah, EJ passed you. So did Billy Hibbard, but William Hibbard. I knew him when he was a youth player named Billy. William Hibbard is at plus 126, so you're sitting in 8th overall. You have 70 pins up on the number right now.
Okay.
I think you're okay. Same thing for Novak. Novak's 67 pins up. Dead score, 9th place, plus 110. Kyle Troop, that nice 226 game for Kyle. Gets him the plus 80. Dead score McIntyre Jr. at plus 78. He's got to sweat a little bit. Zeke Bate vaulted Balzer at plus 76 in the 12th overall. Balzer 13th at plus 70. And we got Ronnie Russell plus 59. Zach Tack at plus 43. Let's take a peek in on Ronnie Russell. As
Ronnie is giving him the big wheel. I've been watching him do this for a couple games now. It's very impressive to watch, considering that.
That's Ronnie's favorite way to play.
I mean, but that ball is looking at you as it goes down the lane. That ball has 90 degrees of axis rotation on it.
Let's get back over to Kent as he tries to make the super washout. Once again, this has been one of those spares that they would look at a little more intently on video if there was a question after it was done. The man you see stepping up there on lane 7 needs a bunch, or at least needs enough to get past Zach Tackett, as Ronnie Russell's 14th at plus 59, Zach Tackett 15th at plus 43. That leaves A.J. Johnson first out right now at plus 42. So he just needs to get 2 pins higher than Zach Tackett and stay ahead of Wow. Unfortunately, Mike and Habegger,
Has he fallen
166, 147 for his last 2 to drop to
He's
plus 30. I mean, he's still in contention, but how do you? I mean, you're 100 under for 2. How do you turn that around, Andrew? That's a tough one to do.
That is a big hole to dig yourself out of mentally, because looking at it, you know, the number, he's still close, but mentally, I was watching him, and I'm not sure how many of these PBA regionals he has bowled, but I was getting like the same kind of feel from him that I had from my first regional, where I missed 1 single pin, and then many more followed.
Yeah.
So he's still close to the number. I think if he gathers himself for 1 game and has 1 good game, his look was definitely more consistent on the fresh once the burn kind of happened. I don't think he's gotten left enough. I still think he's trying to shove. Oh, we just made the big 4. Kevin McCune just made the big 4.
They say it can't be done. Wrong. Prime proof right there.
It went behind it and pulled it forward to the 610. He shot at the 4.7 and went behind it and pulled it forward.
Let's get
I don't think it was a string that hit it either. I think it was the pin.
Let's go to YouTube.
I got 1.
Yeah, everybody's kind of shaking it like he made it. So
I thought I saw Kyle leave the 710, and then I saw Kevin make the big 4. That was, I mean, if anyone's going to do it with the ball speed.
Right. I mean, they don't call him Nuke for nothing. All right, let's get a replay here.
I would love to see that again.
Give me a second. Working with 3 hands here.
There you go.
Yeah, well, give me a second to make sure we're in proper positioning here.
All the behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't know that
Oh,
happens.
yeah, man. I'm working with two hands on my feet. Yeah, there we go.
That was awesome.
Comes in behind us here.
He wants to see it again for himself, too.
Yeah, I don't blame him right now. So here we go. All right. Yeah. So there we go, replaying. I should have a little thing that flashes replay up here right now, but there you go, 4 into the 7, into the 10. I mean, that's pure contact right there. Nicely done, Kevin McCune.
That's awesome.
Pure contact.
Someone I've also been really impressed with, like these probably last 4 or 5 games, is all right, I was going to wait until he struck, but A.J. Johnson's putting in a huge run.
Yeah.
Because he was
way out of the number.
I was say he was not having a whole lot of fun.
No.
And that's the main thing about, you know, these national bowlers that I feel like is a little different from like the main regional group we have here, is they've been in the positions that we've been in a lot more than we've been in them. They're used to digging themselves out of holes a lot more.
Right.
Because what AJ is doing right now is very impressive. He's in the cut, is he not? Oh, he's right. He's right outside of it.
He's the number, or he's outside the number. He's first out by a pin right now.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And he was minus a good bit earlier from my recollection.
So, Habegger.
So was Zach.
Yeah.
Zach's put in a run.
Yeah, what pair is, oh, there we go. No, hold on. We got to find Zach. I think he's on the end pair of this game. Give me a second here.
Ooh, that.
Yeah, he's on 21-22. Let's take a peek on where he's at. He is your bowler B on your scoreboard, so he's got a spare and a 3-bagger. Right. So he's hanging tough. Justin Knowles, yeah, he just came off an ugly, ugly game. Spear plus
Where
26.
is
Cooley's plus 13, so that's an outside shot.
Yeah, Knowles is currently minus 76, so I don't think, sadly, I love Justin, but I don't think he's going to make it today.
Right. So
Benji Martinez.
Benji's at plus 4.
And he's getting a little getting a little emotional. I think he's starting to fall out of it.
Yeah, unless B-Rob shoots a miracle game. B-Rob's at minus 39, so I'm not even going to look at it. Anybody in the standings past Martinez. So
I'm surprised I've only fallen to 8th. I was really expecting to get
I
down
thought you were.
towards
I
like
thought
13th.
you were going to be sweating this last game hard when
Yeah.
A Squad got done. To be honest, I even said that on air, and yeah, it was not too bad. I like somebody put up there pure slay on the 4, 6, 7, 10. I like that pure slay.
Who said that?
Real
Sheriff
experience.
Langdon?
Real experience ball
Oh.
reviews. So
That is the YouTube channel that I do
Yeah.
ball review videos for.
okay. Doesn't Knowles do ball reviews for them too?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Justin's in a couple videos.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure if he's done a ball video yet, but he is a member of Rex.
Yeah.
He's one of our national staffers.
Okay. Right. That's what it is. Okay. That's what it is.
I'll say, shout out Real Experience Ball Reviews.
Yeah. Hey, why not? You're in the booth. Get a little love for him.
They're a great group. Theo does a lot for the channel.
Let's see. Kyle Troop, we got to keep an outside eye on because he's at plus 80. So if he has a bad game, but he's not having a bad game.
I think he's kind of cruising along on a
Yeah,
220
he's
pace
cruising
here.
along.
So who could be an upset here? Benji doesn't look like he's too happy with his ball reaction.
Right. And Benji's double and trying to stay clean through. I'm sorry. No, he's looking for his 6th spare in a row. That's not getting him anywhere.
I would say early on, that would be considered a very good game.
Right.
That's what I was mainly talking about is people right now. They're in crunch time right now, of course, but like earlier on, I saw a few people like getting frustrated when they would leave a 10-pin or a 4-pin. And I'm like, you need to calm down. You're still on 220 pace. That's good. 220 is good today.
Yep.
Zeke Bate was also impressing me earlier. The way he was playing the lanes and really figuring them out, because I took a look at his ball reaction. It didn't look very controllable, and just being real accurate, being real soft with his hand. Very impressive what he's being able to do right now. Or early on, he was doing cleaner stuff on the fresh. I was flabbergasted watching his choices. And he made it work. Very impressive.
So let's take a peek in on Zach Tackett as he's on 15 and 16. So Zach is your bowler A. So he's got 164 in the 8th.
I thought
On an
B-Rob left
open.
me 10 for a second. Those pins weren't all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, B-Rob trying to make that late run, but not going to be enough, one would think. Yeah, he's going to max out in the 240s, so that's not even – it's barely going to give him the plus. So we'll get out of there. We'll get back to Zach momentarily. And let's get down here because let's get a little Hibbard and plugging along, double and clean. Benji's the one that's got issues. And
Hibbard had a very impressive run going on earlier.
yeah, but right now the A.J. Johnson run, the impressive part as he's looking to just blow by Zach Tackett, Ronnie Russell, maybe
Hibbard.
even Balzer and Bate and Troop.
Yeah, Hibbard should be safe.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
Hibbard's
have
at
to
plus
really,
1, whatever, so.
Yeah, he's at
126.
126. He's going to have to really back his way out of this. I just don't see that happening with how he's a little more of an accuracy player. I don't see that happening. Kevin
Well, let's see if
McHugh.
McHugh can bounce a 2-8-10 out. Why not? If you can bounce a 4-6-7-10 out, why not the 2-8-10?
Hey, I have faith. Do it once, do it twice. He's safe.
Kurt
I
Hunt,
don't think he's scared at all.
Yeah, Kurt Hunt, wonderful human being, bowls here at Easy Bowl. Always shoes up every year, the tournaments here, just to get the experience under his belt. I mean, where else can you shoe up against some of the best in the world and, see how you do against him? I mean, he's not having the greatest of days. He's honestly in the triple digits to the minus, but he's still going to walk out of here with a smile on his face.
That was strictly the reason I came out to this regional, because there wasn't here we go. There wasn't RPI points involved, and it didn't really count as a title, so I was questioning about it, but I saw the people who signed up, Kyle Troop, BJ Hackett, all these national guys. Those are the guys that you want to bowl against. So I'm strictly here because these are the guys I want to bowl against. So I'm also I like seeing the amount of locals who signed up. That's really cool. They're just out here testing themselves.
So Ronnie Russell's having a decent game. He's at plus 59. This is the guy that's going to be in trouble right now. Zach Tackett, he's going to max out at 224. Meanwhile, A.J. Johnson, I mean, he keeps going double spare. He's going to be in the 230s and passing him.
Yeah, plus 60
Who's
sweat.
going to fire first? A.J.'s going to fire first. Let's get back to A.J. And, of course, as soon as I say that, A.J. will still fire first.
and a hypervenom.
Yeah, so the push doesn't do it.
All right, so he's got a 250 max.
So he's going to see a score that's posted by Zach Tackett ahead of him already, and I know he's got Ronnie Russell right next door you can keep an eye on as well, as Russell just left a 2.8.
I'll say Ronnie is not safe.
Nope. Let's take a peek in on 11 and 12 is Habiger. Guess who's making the comeback? He's your bowler B on 11 and 12. Habiger can put up 280.
As I said, it's definitely not impossible for him to get back into this. He's close. Pretty sure if he just marks his way out of here, he'll be in.
So over there we see the final score for Zach Tackett, which should be
221.
So plus 21 gets him to plus 64. So he's temporarily ahead of Russell, but obviously Ronnie's still bowling.
Yeah.
Let's get back. And we'll see what we get for 10th frame on Habiger. As Habiger looking to lead Zach and AJ.
If he strikes out, he's at what, plus 30?
Yeah, if he strikes out, he's going to
he's
go
at plus 30
110.
even. Yeah.
So,
That is definitely safe.
I mean, even right now, he's with an open, he's in the 240s.
Yeah, I think he's punched his ticket.
So, he's ahead of Tackett. He's obviously, we know Johnson's got work to do.
Yeah, I think the 7-bagger helped out a little bit. Yeah, Kyle just shot a nice 258, I do believe.
Yeah, so Kyle definitely.
Kyle is safe.
We're going to get back to AJ Johnson before we get back to Habiger. Johnson's max still 256. Not that way, and that 10's going to stand in defiance, and yikes. You mentioned last game, tides can turn so quickly.
I mean, it's just things can be going so well for bowlers, and especially in this tournament. This is a really nice house, but still these lanes have definitely seen a lot of wear and tear on them. So like those tracks in the lanes, if you get it in there early,
Yep.
it could blow through it or it could take off. And if you don't get it there at all, they're very flat in the middle. So, I mean, it's just very touchy, very speed sensitive. And
So, yeah, Habiger is going to make the big vault right now.
yeah, it's going to get him to plus 90-ish.
With a spare, yeah.
Very impressive.
Near plus, yeah, he'll be in the plus 80s with a spare and good count.
I would say he got out of his head. I would say that's a good way of putting it.
Martinez can get to 221. That's not going to be enough. And he can't get there now. Oh,
Uh-oh.
that makes life a little interesting, but
Still gets him to plus 70.
243 plus 73 altogether.
Yeah.
So that vaults him in.
Was that 73?
Yep.
And Scott's a 78. There's a 76.
Balzer's a dead score at 70, so that makes life interesting. And we just, unfortunately, I moved away from EJ there.
EJ jumping
Well,
out
yeah.
shots. What was he, 138?
Yep.
Okay. He can go out for 240, I do believe, this game.
Let's get over. Let's check in on Ronnie Russell. Ronnie, 150. Is that 190? It's 192. I'm sorry, 192. So you can get to 222, and he'll stay ahead of Zach Tackett. But now AJ's in a world of hurt. Boy, just when you thought the guy was going to make a run.
Ronnie's in currently, but he's not.
Right.
He's not comfortable.
Well, if he spares here, he gets to 212. That keeps him ahead of the dead score of
Jacob
Balzer. Yep. So that by a pin. We'll check in on Zeke Bate again and see how Zeke doing, but he was having a pretty solid game. We'll stay here for see if we get a hell of a bounce here for AJ, but you got to hit the 6 to bounce it. Over the end pair, Zeke Bate. Hold on, is Zeke on?
Zeke's on 22.
22, yep.
Stepping up right now. He can go out for 230, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, his scoreboard a little dark right now, but he's in solid shape. Yeah, yikes. 4.
Hard to believe Justin can create that much. I do believe he's still in a black hammer. It's hard to believe he can create that much entry angle with a black hammer to stone an 8-pin on strings.
So Ronnie Russell did get to 212 with the spare, or is it? I can't tell here. We'll wait till Zeke bowls. It looks like 211.
I see it too.
You do see a 2 in the end? Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's 8-1 or 8 spare from this angle. We'll wait till we bring it up on the scoreboard here. Yeah.
I was just looking at the main score.
Bates going in, so yeah.
Yep, 212.
212. So that leaves, yeah, that's huge for Russell because that's plus 71.
Oh, yeah.
So that gets him past Balzer, so. Any other live scores? Hibbert was the only one that was even close to being out of. Hibbert and Tackett were close to each other, but they're not falling back that far. They're not falling back 60 or 70 pins.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's
So what do we got for Johnson's maximum coming up here? Yikes, 210. Yeah, Ages is still going to be out.
I'll say I was expecting all these guys to put in a good last game, so
Yeah.
I don't really see it dropping, sadly.
All right. And of course now they all crumble and fall.
I understand that feeling. When you don't need it. When you need absolutely nothing, you can throw the worst shot of the tournament, and they're all just going to fall. They have a funny way of messing with you like that. But yeah, I don't think Justin... Yeah, Justin's been out of it for about a game now, so he's just kind of he's going through the motions these last few shots.
So the way it looks, especially with Bates going to be a 2-0 even with an open frame in the 10th.
Cooley is not in the cut.
No.
What can he go out for? Not enough.
Not enough. So Bate is already, he's 2-teen with it open. So he was at plus 76. So unofficially, Zach Tackett's going to stay. No, Zach Tackett's going to be out.
I think I'm going to fall to about 9th.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, Habiger in and Zach Tackett out. The way this is looking, it looks like the cut's going to be Balzer.
Wow.
Jacob Balzer at plus 70.
This
Zach
cut has
Zach Tackett's going to miss by 6.
Man, I was
AJ
really...
Johnson's going to miss by less than 20.
I was really hoping
So.
that Ryan Spear had a miracle and made it in.
Yeah, Ronnie Russell stays in, Bates stays in. Yeah, so unofficially, your cut number, Jacob Balzer plus 70 with just Ronnie Russell at plus 71 and Mike and Habiger. How about a comeback for Habiger after shooting 166 and 147, shooting that big 240 the last game.
He started out very hot on the fresh, and then like the last few, like he goes 190, 212, 160, 140.
Yep.
A little bit of a meltdown. Pulled himself together for a very nice last game to get himself in, however.
Well, Andrew, thanks for sitting in with me. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow when you get to advances round. You got 8 more games in front of you against 15 players. And a pretty unique format, too, is you're going to hit every pair twice. They're going to have you guys on 4 pairs of lanes, and you'll hit every pair twice. So it'll be pretty neat to watch you guys make moves, hitting a pair for a second time. You usually don't do that in PBA competition. That's a little something, I'm kind of geeking out over because
it's definitely different.
Definitely different, new, and fair. Everybody's hitting the same 4 pairs twice, and should be a good time. So thanks for sitting in with me. Thanks, everybody, for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow morning from Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana with the PBA Family Ford of Bluffton, Yergy's Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open. You can get all your updated scores on the link I just dropped into the chat at r2sports.com. That link is there for you. Check out the scores once they're all updated. Full unofficial results right now in no particular order for your top 15. Northhouse, Kent, McCune, Stevens, Flora, Tackett of the EJ variety, Hibbard, Halverson, Novak, Troop, McIntyre, Bate, Russell, Balzer, and Miken Habiger with a big last game sneaking into 13th place.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks, everyone, for joining us. Get those official results once they're posted, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Parents, take the kids bowling because you know they're going to have fun for life. See you tomorrow.